Yeah, no, as far as the turboprops go, I've been taking the TBM 850. I started in Victoria, just northwest of Seattle.
Oh
Went
yeah.
through Canada, Alaska, across Canada, over to Iceland, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, and now I'm in northern Germany.
Oh, I gotcha.
It was a fun flight.
Jack, if you can still hear us, make sure you deafen because we can hear you. We can hear us over the.
Okay, guys, here we are. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We'll let that live stream welcome you aboard. And hello, live and direct from the Captain Jack Flight Sim deck office home here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. On the screen with me are my good buddies MickityyyMike, of course, Melo from CST Gaming, and Pilot Noah is here. OwlZ is going to be joining us just a little bit later. So first of all, we want to welcome you to, guys, as far as I know, the first ever get together to discuss Flight Simulator, here in a live stream. Mike, hello. Yeah.
There we go. I was muted. I apologize about that.
Oh, no
Hello,
worries.
Guys. Hope you guys are all doing well. I appreciate you guys tuning in for this fantastic day worth of discussions where we're going to talk about everything controversial, flight simulation topics, what got us started, what made us love aviation, and fall in love with this hobby that we've all grown to appreciate over the years.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And, you guys have been doing it longer than me. I'll talk about that in just a minute, too. But I've been honored to get to meet you and to be able to do some of this stuff with you here as far as flight sim and streaming and so on and so forth. Also with us, of course, CST Gaming Melo in the house. Melo, hey, buddy, how are you?
What's going on? Doing good, man. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me. And,
oh, yeah.
Thank you to those of you that showed up in stream and chat here. Looking forward for a good time.
All right, all right. Lotto says in the chat, Big Mike can't really be here much, but I'll definitely watch this later tonight. Good deal. Yeah, of course, it's going to be up on the stream. Graham from Scotland is here. Our buddy Yoham, Cal, Zepho. I'm not sure how to say that, but there you go. Mamba 204, Anon Flight Simmer says always Owls. Owls is always late, right? Let's see. Captain Zimp, my good buddy, is here. Flight Sim fan. We'll try to say hello to everybody in the chat, and we're going to take your questions there. And right now, I'd like to introduce you to my good buddy and actually starting to mentor me in a lot of things, Discord for sure, and Flight Sim. He's going to help me build a brand new hot rockin' flame-throwing Flight Sim computer here in a few weeks. Pilot Noah. Noah, welcome.
Hello, hello. Thank you for inviting me. And yeah, like Captain Jack said, I'm actually from the Colorado area as well, so I'm going to be building him a new PC once I'm back in the area. So I'm excited for that.
Yep. Looking forward to that. Isaac is here. Isaac, hey, man. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Jacob Marshall is here. Guys, let's go ahead and start off by introducing yourselves a little bit for those who either may be new to the stream or picking this up sometime on a replay. Mike, why don't we go back and start with you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been streaming and all that good stuff.
Sure. Well, everybody knows me by Mike. That's my name is actually legally Michael, but everybody calls me Mike or Mikey. That's just the nickname that's kind of stuck throughout my entire life. I got started in flight simming all the way back in FS 2002. So I've been simming for the better part of 22 years, give or take. Since I was in the sandbox, I picked up a joystick and started flying some virtual airplanes around the skies of Microsoft. But the love of aviation really didn't bite me until I was, I want to say in 6th grade, give or take, around that area. I was about 10 years old when I actually got to take my first, not my first airplane ride, but the first ride on an aircraft that I could actually recollect and remember. It was about 7th grade, and my band that I was a part of in school, we got invited to the 2008 inauguration of President Obama back then, and we were competing in a competition down there for the music and bands. All the schools that were invited, we were just competing with each other for scores and all that kind of stuff. And I remember getting out to what recently was called McCarran International Airport here in Las Vegas, Nevada, where I live. And I got to hop on a U.S. Airways Boeing 757 that we flew direct from Las Vegas to Washington, D.C., DCA. And unbeknownst to me at the time, I had no idea, because I had no idea what that arrival was, but we actually shot the river visual into D.C. Into 19 in the 7.5. And that was just something that I stepped on that airplane, looked to my left, saw the flight deck door open. Then I looked to my right and saw a massive amount of rows of the airplane. And I was like, this is for me. I like this. I want to do this every day. So when we got back from that trip, man, I went to my parents and said, I don't know what it is, but I like airplanes. And they bought me this whole setup. My dad bought me this whole setup for the flight simulator. This is now, we're talking FS 2004, FSX times. Started flying. Granted, no idea what I was doing, but I want to say about 7 to 8 years ago is when I really started getting serious into flight simming. Because back then I had started actually going through flight school. I was starting to get my private pilot's license. I brought a souvenir to show off. This was actually the logbook that I was using when I was actually a student pilot out in Pennsylvania after I had graduated high school.
Nice.
And I had started my training and started flying and all that kind of stuff. And I was training in a 172 and loved every ounce of it. And unfortunately, due to personal reasons, I had to disenroll. But my hobby or my love for this industry has stayed alive through flight simming, and just to see how far the flight simulation community and the technology that is now available in the flight simulator is still something that keeps my passion for aviation very much so alive. I've been streaming not very long, maybe about 7 months in total. I've been streaming full time. So you guys can check me out over at MickityyyMike on YouTube. It's MickityyyMike. And yeah, we just have a bunch of fun over there. We fly everything from turboprops to private pilot airplanes like Cessnas to corporate jets to commercial jets like the Phoenix and PMDG, which we'll get into. Obviously we'll talk about that, but that's me.
All right. Mike, I can't thank you enough for being here. And, man, to have only been doing this for the length of time that you have, you look good, you look pro, you look just, like I like to say, as smooth as an android's bottom, which is how I wish most of our landings would go, right? Oh, man, good stuff, good stuff. CST Gaming Melo, once again, Melo in the house. And Melo, tell us a little bit about your stuff. Mike loved the doggy in the back there. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Everybody say hi to Miss Ruby Rose. This is my pup.
Oh, yeah.
She's so cute.
Yeah. There you go. Melo, go ahead, man. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tell us about yourself.
Well, my name is Melo, short for Carmelo. Originally from Italy, but that's a different story. But I'm a 26-year vet of U.S. Navy. Been in the aviation industry for pretty much that long. Aircraft mechanic, airframes, dealing with engines, fuel systems, and the airframe as well. So that's what I've been doing for the past 26 years of my life until I decided to call it quits last year. So decided to move on from the military life and kind of turn the page and get something new going. So, I mean, aviation has been part of my adult life pretty much. So that's where that comes from, the love and the passion for aviation. Flight simulation has been a thing since I was I don't know, 7, 8 years old when my dad had a Commodore 64 and showed me Flight Simulator on Commodore 64 that there was no outside view, there was none of that great stuff. It was literally a panel that mimicked the inside of the aircraft and a bunch of gauges and stuff and 1 frame per second. So literally that's what I started playing flight simulation on. I didn't get serious on a flight simulator until probably I would say between the 2002 and 2004 iteration of the flight simulator. That's when we started being serious with my buddy, my shipmate in the Navy at first, and then good friend and almost a family member, Jamie. A lot of you know him as Captain Bios, which is now as well retired from the Navy, and he's a real world pilot as well, so flying for Pittman. But he introduced me to the serious side of flight simulation and eventually VetSim and controlling, not just flying, but I was an ETC at one point. So like I said, I've been serious since the 2002, 2004 flight simulation eras. And ever since then, I didn't start streaming right away when it came to flight sim content. When I first started streaming on my channel, it was a totally different content, because when I did start streaming, FSX was not that great anymore. Explain was the place to be, and I really never cared for Explain too much. So I decided to kind of take a break from flight simulation.
For no reason at all.
And I didn't pick it back up until Flight Sim 2020 came out. Once Flight Sim 2020 came out, it was a little rough start there at the beginning, but then it got better after that, and that's where we are now. I just started streaming back again with flight simulation probably about a year ago, and yeah, that's where we at now, and that's it. I'm just trying to stream for the fun aspect of it. I have lots of fun streaming, and I love bringing the little bit of knowledge that I have, expertise, whether it be in the flight simulation or building, and sharing my experience with building peripherals for flight simulations to the community, and that's it. That's where we at.
All right. Yeah, Mello, that's great. You know, here I'm going to make a note that we do this. You got to show that flight tiller, dude. You got to show that flight tiller, okay. And we'll talk about that a little bit. Noah, hey, welcome, man. Noah, yeah, there's Mike's, and I saw Mello's bit that he was doing for Owls too. So one day we'll have to get a Captain Jack order in there as well. So hang on for that. Stand by for news, like they used to say. Noah, welcome, my friend. Noah is a young student pilot, and tell us what you got going on in your life, young man.
Yeah, so like you said, after these introductions, I feel very underqualified, but I'll tell you a little bit about me. I'm currently a student pilot here at Western Michigan University. I'm getting my bachelor's in aviation. I, too, have my souvenir of my pilot logbook, but it's a little less filled than yours, I'm sure, MickityyyMike. And, you know, I got into flight sim about 8 years ago. I am 19 going on 20, so I was about 11 years old. I originally took a flight with EA Young Eagles. It's a program where anyone under the age of 18 can go on a free flight. They take volunteers who take their planes into a local airfield and just take kids up, and that's where I got my love of flying. And after that, I got the demo version of X-Plane 10, and I just flew it around in areas that weren't covered by the demo. So it was just the airport and water, and I was like, you know, messing around with it until my grandfather came over and bought me the full version of the game. It was the best gift I've ever gotten because it really enabled me to continue my love for the flight simulation. And I flew Denver to Salt Lake City countless times in the old JAR Design A320, which now seems very trivial, but that's what I had at the time. And, you know, ever since then, as the years went on, I got more and more in depth within the sim. I was able to recreate real world flights. That's what I like to do now. I do it for fun, but I recreate real flights, and you know, it's been a blast. Nothing really more. I'm in my freshman year here, about to end next week into my sophomore year.
Right on. Well, what are your goals? Where are you headed?
Yeah, so eventually I want to be with the airlines, but I'm not going to rush that process. I think my aviation career is going to be a journey, not the end goal. I want to end up maybe instead of a CFI, which is a certified flight instructor, as the most common route. I want to instead go to maybe a skydive pilot, or you know, bush flying up in Alaska. Some cool random jobs that might not get me the most amount of hours in the shortest amount of time, just something that I can say, yeah, my career was good. I didn't just race to the airlines, you know.
Right.
And that's my main goal.
Right.
My goal is the journey.
You know, and that's one of the greatest things too. If your role is the journey, you know, and where you want to head, that really is going to give you, in my opinion, the most positive outlook on your future, and the ability to go and do what you you know, are going to want to do, and to follow that pursuit to the most degree that you possibly can there, Noah. So my hat's off to you. My hat's off to you. We'll get a little rundown from Owls here in just a little bit. Guys, we're watching the the chat live if you have a particular question that you'd like to ask us. We'll get into that. I'll be watching that. Want to say hello to Yoham. Yoham is here now. CapnJackFltSim, if I have not said hello to you, I like to try to recognize everyone that we can in the chat. And I want to show you guys a picture. I'm going to drag this over. But this is what my first flight simulator looked like. Can you see that? You guys in Discord probably can't, but you can on the stream. It's Microsoft Flight Simulator 2. Man, and it was jerky and it was jumpy and it was absolutely fascinating. And you had a few fields you could fly around there, Chicago Megs Field. And just really enjoyed those days. And that's how I got started way back in probably 1982 or 3 or 4. Crazy stuff.
And I'll tell you, man, that's just to speak on how much this field has advanced when it comes to the type of simulation that we have available to us now. Like, we have people in our chats that are in between the ages of 10 to 15 years old, right? So they weren't around when those type of simulators or what we were flying. Like when I first got started on Microsoft 02, you would literally hit Shift 1. It would bring up just this 2D panel of a 737 cockpit or something like that. And that's what you flew with, right? And then you would look down and you'd see that auto-generated mesh that wasn't even real to the surveillance of the world or anything like that. That would just, you would look down and be like, damn, how do we actually have, a world down there, one that we're flying over virtually? And then you take that, right, to something that's just a pixelated 2D cockpit with maybe a skyscraper in the background, just kind of give you a little bit of a visual reference to where you're flying. To now, where we have airliners in a simulator that literally has the engine oil viscosity changing based off of temperature in the simulator. It's insane. So, like, that's what I love so much about flight simulation, is just the advancements that have been made over the years. Because, like I said, I got started on Microsoft 02, then to 2004, then to FSX. And when I finally got off of FSX, which granted was not a long time ago, it was about 6 years ago, I jumped immediately into X-Plane 11. And I was on X-Plane 11 through 3.5 years, give or take, in that area, before I even made the jump. When I first started streaming, I was still flying X-Plane 11. I didn't even make the jump onto Microsoft until about 2 or 3 months into my streaming, quote-unquote, career, if you would. So seeing that picture just brings back so much nostalgia to me, because I remember that vividly about, when I first started simming.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, it really is. And, we were running, a 286 with maybe a meg of RAM. And what was it? It was a 32 megabyte MFM hard drive. Either any of you guys remember? Melo, you might remember that.
I do.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, and so just crazy. Hey, Owls says almost done with the desk. Sorry, not a problem, Owls. You do what you need to do. Dominic is here. Let's see. Flight Simulator Jake, welcome. Good to have you. Aurora Forza. And he has a question to Yoham. Have you any scenery you can recommend? God, that would take up the whole. That would take up the whole thing here. There's so much good stuff.
I have an answer about that one.
Go ahead, Melo.
I think the best way to pick on your sceneries is concentrate with the routes you fly the most. All right, don't be buying sceneries in India if you never fly in India and you were constantly flying the U.S. Just, if you are a California guy, look at some sceneries in California and maybe Arizona or something like that. Something to take you flying around the areas that you are familiar with and the areas that you love flying the most, and then kind of branch out from there. But what I would do is, if you want to spend money on scenery, is concentrate on what you fly the most, and maybe not go straight for scenery because somebody tells you that it's good, but it's probably in Europe and it's a place that you might fly to once or twice every 3 months, right? That's a waste of money, in my opinion. So I would say save your money and go by what you enjoy doing. Go by the area you like to fly in, and if it's Europe, then do that. If it's U.S., then stay in the U.S. Until you actually branch out and start doing more flights than just certain areas. But yeah, us, people like me and maybe others, in the streaming industry or whatever you want to call it, content creation. We tend to spend way too much money on sceneries because obviously that's what we want to bring to you guys is the hot new stuff and showcasing new scenery, showcasing new aircraft. But I have a Mad Dog, for example, that I spent $90 on that I bought because I flew it one time on stream to show you guys what the Mad Dog was all about, and I haven't touched it since. Should you guys do that same thing? I would say save your money. If you're not going to fly the plane, don't buy it, right? So same thing with the sceneries.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what CST is saying, to be honest with you. Obviously, like in the content creation world, it's almost a necessity to showcase new products and all that kind of stuff because people are watching and they get recommendations. That's how partnerships and sponsorships end up happening, right? The more people that watch you and more you make a recommendation, the more sales that are going to make, right? But for me personally, when I want any simulator I purchase, like 2024 coming out, or if it's a new X-plane that actually becomes a feasible simulator, right? The first scenery I ever buy is Las Vegas, is Harry Reid International Airport. It's the first purchase I make on any simulator because I know I'm going to do the majority of my flying out of that airport. If you want a legitimate answer right now, Aurora Forza, I would say the hot commodity on the market right now is the new MK Studios LaGuardia. That is the hot commodity right now. And I got to tell you, flying into that airport yesterday with Owls on his stream, the amount of traffic that we saw, New York Center being absolutely amazing with their controlling and all that kind of stuff. Any scenery in the New York area, you're going to be able to purchase that scenery and fly literally anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I would also like to add, as far as the sceneries go, it's not only what looks good, but it's also what can your system handle. If you have a mid-tier system, which there's nothing wrong with that, and in the earlier versions of INI builds LAX, it's a frame killer. So there are workarounds, but if the airport you buy looks good but kills your frames, it's not going to be enjoyable to fly out of there. So it would be kind of a waste of money. So just know what your system is capable of and take into account the reviews from other people, because people will mention the performance impact it had on their system.
Guys, and this brings us to kind of one of the topics that I thought was going to be real important for us to bring up here is, what do I need to do Flight Simulator? What kind of system? What kind of setup? What's the best thing maybe for me to get into and invest in the beginning? What do you think, Melo?
Well, that's one of those very. I think that when it comes with a lot of people, I think in the flight simulation community, that's a very controversial subject because, like for me, for example, the first question I would ask you is, do you want to play flight simulator or do you want to fly sim? Right? Do you want to replicate real world aviation, or do you just want to play the game as a game? Right? That would be my first question. Now, if you say, hey, look, I just want to play, I like planes, and I just want to pick up my PS4 or Xbox controller, and I want to fly around my hometown, or I want to go do barrel rolls over the country, or whatever that might be, then all you need is an Xbox and an Xbox controller, right? But if you're serious about flight simulation and you want to quote unquote be a flight simmer, right? Which I consider different than anybody playing flight simulation as a game. Then there's a lot more to it than just a controller and an Xbox, right? Or even a PC or a laptop or whatnot. Because now you're starting to you're trying to replicate the immersion, the experience of you flying an airplane. Now you're looking at an IM PC. I would say probably medium to IM PC, right? To be able to run the flight sim, first of all. And then peripherals. Sure, you can start with just a side stick and with a twist action to get you going. But ultimately, you're looking to get all the peripherals that a lot of people like myself showcase on streams and stuff like that, right? Your throttles and your yokes and your pedals. And one thing that I will tell you is that the stuff is not cheap, right? That's why I started learning how to make my own because I was not going to pay $500 for a tiller when I know that it doesn't take $500 to build a tiller, right? So I couldn't get myself to pay that much money for a tiller. So I'm like, there's got to be a way, right? And all it takes is the willingness to do it, and the willingness to learn, to be able to do something like that. And that's in a way going off course here is what I try to do myself for the community is bring that knowledge, make a couple of videos and show people how to do stuff, and offer giveaways, offer it to my community, right? Because I don't sell this stuff. I don't claim to be a tiller reseller or anything like that. That's not the business I want to be in. So I've told all the people that have the tiller that I've built, I tell them, I'm like, look, I don't even want you to give me shout outs. Don't even tell them where you got it from. I really don't care for that, right? Because I'm not in the business of selling tillers, so please don't do that. Otherwise, I'm going to have 20,000 messages on Discord telling me, hey, build me a tiller, right? And there goes Mikey giving me shout outs. Thanks, bro.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you, man.
Yeah,
To be
no,
completely
it's
honest with you. Sorry, go ahead.
no, that's what I was gonna say. Like, so I guess what the point I'm trying to make is that there's a clear distinction, and it's very controversial, right? Because you have people that take this hobby very seriously, right? And it's like, oh, we're flight simmers, right? So whenever those people see, quote unquote, and I can say this because I'm old enough, a kid claiming to be a flight simmer with a controller on VATSIM acting a fool, then they take offense to that, right? They're like, well, you are jeopardizing my hobby, you're jeopardizing my immersion, and I don't appreciate that. So I would say focus on what you want to get out of the flight sim, right? If you want to just play the flight sim, all you need is a controller. Plain and simple, right? Hell, you can even fly with a keyboard and a mouse, right? So, but if you want to be a flight simmer, it's a totally different situation, totally different story, and a totally different full-time job you're gonna have to get to be able to afford the peripherals required to flight sim the proper way. That's my 2 cents.
You know, that's really good too. It's like any hobby. It's like any hobby. You can put as much as you want into it, really, or as much as you don't want to put into it, and still be able to get some real good use. Whether you want to fly a little Cessna, and like Melo said, you just want to putter around an airport. I've got a friend who has bought Flight Simulator, and he's bought basically a joystick, and he flies this little Coupe. It's just a small little 2-passenger airplane. It's got really kind of a cool twin tail on it, but that's all he wants to do. He doesn't want to do any more than that, and that's what he does. And of course, now those of us who have put a little bit more into it, and we've been fortunate enough to be able to afford some of the higher end stuff. I use the honeycomb here. I'll show you this real quick. I use the honeycomb. If I can get the camera point right, honeycomb alpha yoke. And Bravo throttle quadrant. I've got a radio stack here, and I put most of my instrumentation on this monitor, but monitors almost are a dime a dozen anymore. I'm running an AMD RX 6750 XT video card, but for the longest time, I was running a GTX 1070, and it worked. It wasn't the best. The frame rates weren't necessarily the best that they could be, but overall, it wasn't bad. Noah, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think CST. Sorry, remind me your name again. I apologize.
Melo.
Sorry, I was muted.
Melo. So sorry. So yeah, I think Melo really touched on that perfectly. You really don't. It depends on what you need to do with the sim. If it's just messing around versus actually getting immersed within the sim. I did see Yoham ask a question that I think kind of aligns with what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. Go ahead.
Yoham, it was talking about the physical requirements of your PC, but not Yoham, apologies. Melo was talking about the physical requirements of your PC or the peripherals needed, but Yoham asked about the aircraft. So now this is the software side of it. What aircraft would you suggest for the simulator? And I think, again, depends what you want to do with the sim. So for some people, the default aircraft in the Microsoft Flight Simulator is enough. And for those who want to become more immersed, to name a couple, PMDG 737 and the Phoenix A320 are the highest fidelity airliners, I'd say, in Microsoft Flight Sim that I could recommend. and they're the most common aircraft as well. You can fly the A320 and 737 almost anywhere because they're real world routes, and you can get really in depth with them, go through in-depth failures and not normal operations, but you can also fly them just standard procedures and get into them really quickly.
Yep, absolutely. I was just looking back up through the chat there. Is that a Captain Canada shirt? Well, I guess maybe it is, but I saw it when I was watching Captain Canada one time, and I thought, I got to have one of those.
Yeah.
And, I just decided to adopt it, too. I didn't see his name, copyright anywhere on it, so
Yeah.
I just love it.
Go
ahead,
It's not a Captain Canada shirt.
No.
No.
It's
Go
an
ahead.
Amazon special.
Yep. Exactly. Go ahead,
And
Mike.
I'll kind of jump in here and I'll answer it as a two-parter, right? I think CST kind of hit the nail on the head with his answer and what are the requirements to start getting into flight sim. And I really think people really have to understand what is your end goal with flight simming. Is it something that you just want to be able to hop in, go A to B, and call it a day? Or is it something that you really want to use to continue your education in the aviation industry? And that's very much so what I use it for, is a continuing education platform, being I don't do it in real life, right? Goodness, excuse me. So when it comes to the base requirements to become a flight simmer or to get into flight simulation, is you have to understand the requirements of the simulator. Understanding PC components is also a big part of running such a graphic and CPU intensive simulation style game. So my computer personally, I have been building for the better part of 5 to 6 years. I started out with a Radeon RX 580 4 gigabyte graphics card on FSX. Thought that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a gamer now. I can max my graphics out and get 100 plus frames per second. That wasn't the case. I did that, loaded into FSX in New York at like 5 frames a second. And that's when I kind of had to understand, okay, there's a little bit more to this in the background that I have to understand. So when I started from that computer to now where I have an RTX 4070 and a good CPU, I mean, the computer has cost me a ton of money, right? But it's something that I'm passionate about. So you have to understand what is your end goal. What do you want to do with the simulator? What is it that when you log on every day, what is going to be your goal to do that day? Are you going to want to be flying on VATSIM? Are you going to be wanting to fly high fidelity airliners like the Phoenix or the PMDG? Are you just wanting to hop in a baseline Cessna and practice your ground referencing maneuvering and all that kind of stuff? It's just entirely dependent on what it is that you want to do. Baseline, each simulator comes with minimum recommended specs. Start that as a baseline. Start that as kind of an understanding of what it is that you're going to need at an absolute minimum. This means minimum graphics, minimum toll on the PC, and this means absolutely minimum frame rate, right? You're not going to be getting a lot with the minimum requirements of the simulator. And start that as a baseline and kind of work your way from there. When it comes to what aircraft do I want for the simulator, it's not necessarily what aircraft do I want for the simulator, it's what's the quality of that airplane. And I could sit here and say all day, I want a 757 in the sim because that's my personal all-time favorite airliner in the world. But do I want that 757 now to come to the simulator with a 2D cockpit and Cessna handling characteristics? No. So to answer that question, to kind of like change that subject up a little bit, what aircraft am I looking forward to the most right now? I would definitely say the Bluebird 757 is on my list.
Yep. Now, I'm not familiar with that one, but I'm going to look forward to it because Mike, I'm learning so much from you and CST Melo there. I've learned so much just watching your streams and hearing you guys talk about that. By the way, I am going to put their stream links up periodically in the chat if you guys don't have them. And another thing that I think is always a good idea, and I know all four of us agree with this, we want to be mentors. We want to be able to help people. I always, and we do this with our amateur radio stuff. I didn't really tell you guys too much about me yet. For those of you who don't know, I'm also an amateur radio operator. And one of the things that we like to do is welcome people into the hobby, try to help them learn what they need to learn and what they want to learn. And, seek a mentor out. If you don't know that much about computers necessarily, find somebody who does, or just about anybody. anybody anywhere these days can find somebody who knows enough to get you started with stuff. So always enlist someone. In amateur radio, ham radio, we call it an Elmer. I don't know why. It's an old term from back in the 1910s and 20s when radio was first starting, but find somebody to kind of help you out there. Guys, I'm going to bring us to our first possible controversial subject, but isn't Flight Simulator just a video game? What do you think, fellas? Mello, I'm going to come to you first.
Great. Well, that goes back to what I was saying before. It depends on what you're trying to get out of the Flight Simulator, right? So yes, it could definitely be just a game. If that's all you want to do with it is, if all you want to do is just game, then absolutely, Flight Simulator is just a game. But if you want to just game on Flight Simulator, then I would strongly encourage you to stay away from VATSIM. And do your gaming on multiplayer. There's a multiplayer engine built in the Flight Simulator, so use that. So if you're a gamer, there's nothing wrong with being a gamer. Play your Flight Simulator and go play it on multiplayer. Stay away from VATSIM, because the gamer on VATSIM ruins the immersion and the experience for the flight simmer. So when you see a gamer, what I would like to call what we jokingly refer to as a milker on my channel on VATSIM, right? With an EasyJet and JFK, that ruins your immersion, right? That doesn't happen, right? That's what I'm talking about. That's what the gamer is, right? They don't care about what they're flying, where they're flying, why they're flying. They just want to play a game. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. If what you want to do is game, there's a place to game, right? I just don't like the gamer to ruin everybody's experience and immersion of the hobby on a network such as VATSIM. That's the only thing, right? There's many people on YouTube creating that type of content as well. And a lot of times when asked, I'll tell them that's not the content I like to watch. That's not the content I like to promote. And it all refers to, well, you're talking bad about this person. No, I'm not. I just don't like their content. It could be, Captain Jack could be the best person in the world, but if I don't like his content, I don't have to like his content. I can still go out with Captain Jack and have a beer, right? As a person, but I just don't care for his content. That's different than me saying he's a bad person, right? And there's many, like I said, I'm not going to drop names, but there's many YouTubers out there, and they're big YouTubers too, and they'll land a 747 on an illipad. That's great. You like doing that. That's awesome. Just keep that crap away from me, right? Miss me with the nonsense. That's all I'm saying. So if you want to be serious, flight sim. If you want to be a gamer, go game. Just don't game in my flight sim world, right? That's all I ask. Be respectful of people that take this hobby seriously.
Noah, do you have some thoughts on that? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Mello, were you done? I apologize.
Yes, sir. I mean, I can keep running for 15 more minutes if you want me to.
Yeah, I think we can all on these questions sit here and talk. We could probably be here for hours today, but
Yeah. You know, a non-flight simmer says it's a lack of consideration for other pilots. It shows off the gamers very often. Yeah, I would agree with that. Noah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that I definitely agree with you, CST Gaming, that there's a difference between gaming and flight simulation, and try not to cross those worlds, because then it ruins the immersion of the flight simmer. But then I also want to contrast that by saying there's a difference between ruining someone's immersion and learning on the network. You know, before you get on VATSIM, know your aircraft, know how it operates, but there's always a point where we were learning ourselves on VATSIM. You know, you can get on the network and mess up radio calls, you know, but as long as you're trying your best and you know your aircraft first, learning does not always ruin immersion. We all learn. There are different ways to learn better, learn quicker. You can connect as an observer on VATSIM, do your flight without talking and just listen. You can look at YouTube videos, you can find tutorials, but we have all been at that point where we're learning and it's scary to be on the network, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
So
learning is fine, but there is also a point where your gaming does ruin other people's immersion.
Yeah.
and
Mike?
what I will say today, that
Oh.
there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah,
Learning,
yeah,
sure, that's great. I think that's where people like us come in, like the content creators and the streamers, because we give the community that chance to observe, watch, and learn, right? But at the same time, like I said, I have no issues, and I'll talk to a lot of people on my Discord numerous times about this particular subject. I don't see nothing wrong with the person that wants to learn, is because, in my opinion, 90% of the people on VetSim are all trying to do the right thing in accordance with the VetSim COC, right? Code of conduct. So, and obviously you have the 10%. The 10%, the people that I don't care for, and the people that I will forever say, no, they don't belong here, is not the person that's trying to learn. It's the person that thinks he's trying to learn, but he's literally just created a VetSim account, and now he's trying to take off a JFK during an event, and he's telling the ATC, well, yeah, I kind of know what I'm doing, but I don't know what I'm doing because it's my first day on VetSim, and tell me what I got that from. Just go watch 3 or 4 streams ago. You'll hear it yourself. I mean, this stuff happens. This type of people are the type of people that the ATC should not be enabling by saying, well, let me help you out. No, hey, buddy, you need to log off. You need to go watch some tutorials. You need to go read the COC, because the COC clearly states you need to have a basic understanding of the aircraft and ATC procedures before you log in on the network, right? And then come back. And when you have the basic understanding of how to operate on VetSim, then I can help you out, right? But there's a place to do that too. You can't log in during an event and expect the ATC to teach you how to fly a plane. That's not his job, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, I have nothing against what you said, Noah. But at the same time, that's not the people I'm talking about, right? Because
Of course.
I tell my guys on Discord all the time, 90% of the people on VetSim are all trying to do the right thing, right? It's the people that believe. I think they treat the network like a multiplayer session, right? They're like, oh, I'm gonna get on there and play multiplayer with my friends, and I'm gonna go fly with CST Gaming, or I'm gonna go fly with Owls, I'm gonna go fly with MickityyyMike, and they don't know what the hell they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So we need to be the people to say, hey, dude, look, come fly with me, but you need to know what the hell you're doing, right? You can't just join the network without knowing the basics and go fly along with your favorite streamer.
Yeah.
That's just not the right thing to do.
And we
So-
are saying the same thing. We're just articulating it differently. So
Yeah,
I
I was
100%
just about
agree
to
with
say.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me personally, when it comes down to differentiating the difference between gaming on a flight simulation and simulating on a flight simulation, I was so happy when I realized that Microsoft was actually introducing a multiplayer server for those to fly on. And for the most part, we've seen a drastic change in the amount of those that do not understand the concept of simulation on VetSim, right? That have gone over to the multiplayer servers to have their fun, to land their 747s at St. Bart's, to take their A380s and land them into London Gatwick or something like that, right? And for me personally, like when it comes down to it, and I'll tell you guys a little bit, a short story about when I first got into flight simming and all that kind of stuff. When I first got into flight simming, I was using my mother's laptop, God rest her soul, sitting on top of the SciTech yoke that my father had purchased for me when I was about 10, 11 years old. And again, quote, my mother's laptop. It wasn't mine, it was hers. So when she needed it, I had to give it up to her. But I fought her on it because I flew all the time from sun up to sundown. Right? From when I got home from school, finished the homework, hopped on the flight sim. I was on for hours and hours and hours. And my mom was actually legitimately getting upset with me. She was saying that I was spending way too much time on this game. She had a family friend of hers who is actually a commercial pilot. She was on the phone with him one time saying, it's just a game. Why is he spending so much time on it? And I could hear it clear as day because my mother always talked on speakerphone. You could hear every word of her conversation, no matter what room of the house you were in. And I remember hearing him say, it's not a game to him, though. It's something that's going to help him progress if this is the career field that he wants to go. And I 100% support him spending as much time on that as he does currently. And that completely changed my mother's perception on it. because this dude was explaining to her, is like, look, even though it's virtually on a laptop, this is stuff that's going to help him in the future. And as much as people don't want to admit it, flight simulation is very much a big stepping stone to when you first get into an airplane on your own and with an instructor, right? Because it helped me tremendously when I first got into the controls of a Cessna when I signed up for my student pilot license, right? And I think there has to be more of a differentiating understanding between what your goal is on the flight simulator. And that's 100% what I preach on my channel. For those of you that don't know, most of you do know, is myself, CST, and Owls have just recently partnered with the VATSIM Caribbean division. For those of you that do not know what VATSIM is, VATSIM stands for Virtual Air Traffic Simulation. It is a product that allows and gives you the ability to have simulated air traffic control services during your flight on the flight simulator. 100% voluntary services from people that are actual real-world controllers or those that are aspiring to be. So you can hop online, connect to the network, and fly as if you have an ATC controller flying out of the airport or the airspace that you are departing out of and arriving into. But when it comes down to VATSIM and what the goal is for that, I think VATSIM has become a little bit laid back when it comes to how stern they are with those that are violating the code of conduct, right? When I first got, and this is what I tell people in my chat all the time, is if you are new to VATSIM, if you are nervous to talk, if you are not too familiar with the airplane that you're flying, that is 100% okay. They have a remark section when you file your flight plan. And what I did when I first got into VATSIM, because I didn't get on VATSIM for years until I was confident enough and ready to do so. What I did is in a remarks section, I said, new pilot to VATSIM, still learning, please have patience. That's literally what I put in the remarks. And I first started, and I can, right out of Los Angeles Art CC in the LA Center area, the controller read the remark and said, hey, understand you're learning. I have your IFR clearance. Let me know when you're ready. And the way he gave me my IFR clearance was so educational and so helpful and such to an understanding point that he helped me understand that more to a point of what I need to do for the next time, so I don't need someone holding my hand as much as they were that time, right? So not is it only on the pilot as well, but it's also on the controller to be patient enough to educate those that are wanting to learn, right? Now, I will say, full disclosure, those that don't want to learn and want to just hop onto VATSIM to troll and violate the code of conduct just because someone is live streaming to be what I like to call a keyboard warrior, then stay off the network. It doesn't belong for you. It's not there for you. It is a training tool for those that want to continue to aspire or continue their education and who are aspiring pilots, whether it be real world or just on the simulation, right? So when it comes down to, is flight simulation a game? I think it all depends on your goal. If you want it to be a game, you can make it a game. But I think there's a vast majority of us that believe that this is 100% a simulator. Because when I first got started, man, when I started my flight school, I remember when I first signed my contract with my flight instructor, he asked me if I had any experience. I said, no, majority of my experience is on flight simulators. And he said, okay, cool, throw it out the window. And I said, what do you mean throw it out of the window? And he goes, yeah, this is real world now. You're learning real stuff. That's a game. I said, oh, okay, well, sweet. Fast forward 3 days, I walk out to the airplane for my first lesson. I've got my checklist in hand. I've got the keys to the airplane in hand. We're doing our walk around. I'm putting my hand around the prop, checking for chips and cracks and this, that, and that third. I'm putting the fuel sump into the fuel tank and checking the fuel and all that kind of stuff, checking the flaps, checking the aileron, so on and so on. Just doing a full pre-flight check around, or checklist, I'm sorry. And we get into the airplane, get it started up, and he's going over what the lesson's going to be. We're just going up, doing pattern work, showing it the basis of the airplane and this, that, the third. I was like, okay, cool. I would love to handle radios. And he said, are you comfortable with that? You know the phonetic alphabet and all that kind of stuff? I was like, yeah, Alpha through Zulu, 100%. And I studied at the identifier airport of Kilo Mike, Quebec, Sierra. It's the Chester County Geo Carlson Airport in Chester County, Pennsylvania. It's a non-towered airport. It's got one runway that is 5,400 feet. And we got the airplane started taxiing. I called Chester County Traffic, Skyhawk 056, taxiing runway 29 via Alpha. And he looked at me and he's like, how did you know what to say? I'm like, flight simulator. And he goes, oh, okay, cool. Well, and there's a portion of building trust. Now, granted, should you take everything you learned from the flight simulation world into the real world? No, because there's a vast difference. But there is stuff that will teach you, that will help you succeed in this industry. So if that's what your goal is, then take it seriously and be willing to learn, you know?
You know, Mike, interesting you should say that. I've got a friend of mine who is a real-world pilot here in the Denver area, and he uses all of that to kind of keep current, kind of keep relevant on the aircraft that he's working when he doesn't get to fly, you know, for several weeks or even a couple of months at a time. He goes in, he does it very seriously. He gets on the network. He does all the thing. It keeps him current. Yoham, a little while ago, I saw in the chat, said, you know, a good idea is maybe to go with the AI ATC first and learn and get comfortable with that and, you know, kind of understand what's going on. Do some studying. Listen to real air traffic control, you know, and there's liveatc.com that you can listen to any airport in the world. And I sometimes will filter that through my audio system here, play it through my little FM transmitter that I have, and listen to it on a radio out in the backyard when I'm doing stuff. There's all sorts of ways that you can learn how to get more comfortable with this. Dom asked a question too. First, maybe we can do this question real quickly, and Noah, I'll go to you first. First, VATSIM flight feelings. How did you feel the first time that you ever got on the VATSIM network? I was nervous. You know, dude, I've been on camera. I've been on the radio for years. I talk on the ham radio every day. But I was nervous there because I knew there was a certain decorum and a certain expectation of knowing what you're doing. And I was definitely I was definitely a little heebie-jeebied at that. I'm getting and still to some degree am. Noah, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was intimidating my first time, definitely. I mean, I connected. It was the Denver to Salt Lake flight, the 30 millionth time I've done it, but I connected. I had my call sign because Frontier, FTR, right? No, it's FFT, but I was new, so I connected as FTR for Frontier, and I got told on that by Denver ground. They're like, just by the way, it's actually FFT, and you know, it was scary. I was practicing prior to that. I was listening to liveatc.net, so I had an idea of what to say, but I do admit I was kind of pressing the push to talk and then thinking about what I was gonna say. So a lot of people say it's a push to talk, not a push to think. So you press it down, and then you were like, well,
like
you know.
I've never heard that before because it's PTT. I've never heard push to think before.
But that's not a push
way
to think.
Put it. I like that.
Yeah. So I was pushed to thinking for the first couple of flights, but then I got better. I learned more. I started doing more observer flights, listening to other people on ATC without like clogging up the frequency or the traffic. So ultimately, yeah, it's scarier first time, but you just got to do it. Once you feel comfortable, do a short flight, do it in maybe not a busy airport and maybe not an airport that's fully staffed and it's just tower and then Unicom, or ground tower approach then Unicom, something like that. So then you're not overwhelmed. But yeah, you just have to do it eventually.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Don't be afraid, but practice ahead of time. Use some of these sources. We're going to move on to another subject. Al's is still hung up. He's having to, I think, assemble a table that was time critical here. He may have a stream coming up too. I'm not sure. Somebody said, "Who is Jack?" LOL. Well, let me. I'll tell you real quick. I am a 63-year-old flight sim enthusiast. I love it. I am a longtime amateur radio operator. I live in the Denver, Colorado area. I am a broadcast radio engineer. I work on radio transmitter sites on mountaintops and all that sort of thing. And just really love this. Have really been blessed to meet Melo and Mike and Owls there, and really enjoy this flight simming community. As a matter of fact, I really feel like I'm going to be a part of it a long time, I hope. And you guys have once again just been great, and I really appreciate all that I've learned from Mike watching his streams, and Melo. You know, you do such a great job, and Al's is so much fun. Aurora says, "Hey Jack, question for you. Where did you get the model of Freedom One behind you? Ordered it off Amazon. It came. It's what is it, Mike? Darren, DARRON models, I believe, and I've got several others down the line here. I'll just show you the shelf there. So there's several. I just love airplanes. So that's a little bit about me on that. Mike, did you have some other questions? You said you were noting some questions from some folks.
I've actually just been I have chat open as well, and I've just been taking everybody's questions and notating them down, guys.
Okay,
we're gonna do our best to get to everybody's questions, but as you guys can see, we've already been live for an hour, and we've barely tipped the iceberg. So if we don't get to your question, please don't take it personally. It's not something that we are just overlooking, but there are topics that we have pre-planned to speak about and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to do our best to get to your questions as much as possible. And full disclosure, guys, if you guys have not subscribed to CapnJackFltSim here on YouTube, please do me, CST, Noah, and Owl a favor and drop him a subscription. Make sure you smash down the like button for him. Make sure you are following his content because he has fantastic content. He's just a great person to be around. So make sure you guys are supporting his channel as well. Because as much as we appreciate your guys' channel, this is 100% Captain Jack's idea. I'm 100% supportive of it, and I really want to make sure that he gets the credit and he gets the notoriety that he deserves for this here. So make sure we're smashing down that like button, completely free to do so, and it helps out his channel tremendously. And make sure you're subscribing to his channel. So if we end up doing this on a regular basis, you will get notified when we do this. One question that I saw in chat that really kind of stuck out to me that I wanted to kind of dive into is where is it? Oh, there we go. If you didn't stream flight simulation, what other games would you be streaming? And I think that's cool because it kind of stuck out to me because all of us here are known as flight simmers, right? And all of us are known as aviation enthusiasts. However, on top of being an aviation enthusiast and having a huge love for the hobby, we all have other hobbies. And I think that'd be cool to let the people know the other kind of stuff that we're into.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you right now, once again, as I mentioned before, I'm an amateur radio operator, ham radio. Shane says, do you, any of you do combat flight sim? Is there much carryover in the audience? Let's hit on that a little bit later, too. But, yeah, I ride motorcycle. I should bring a picture of it up. I am also a amateur ham radio operator. I run a big networked repeater system here that's based in Colorado, but it's grown all over the world. It's called skyhublink.com, SKYHUBLINK.com, and me and a couple of other guys run that, and it's a daily thing for me. CST, how about you? Go ahead and let's answer Mike's question there.
As far as I think he was referring to, as far as hobbies, what, like other type of games that we would stream?
Yeah, well, the question is based off of if we weren't streaming flight simulation, what other games would we stream? But I think that's kind of an open-ended question. So if you wouldn't stream anything else, I would say, what are some of the hobbies that you don't necessarily tell your viewers about that you're into?
I've done other things on the channel. I used to be huge on 5M, and I was part of 5M. For those of you who don't know, it's Grand Theft Auto 5 modified to play with other people on whitelisted servers. So accessible by either applying or being invited to, and basically you can go in there and be a cop or be a civilian, and that's what 5M is in a nutshell. I would there's a lot more to it, but that's what it is. I used to do a lot of that. I got to the point where not once but twice I was part of developing a server or a whitelisted server, so-called cops and Mountainside. We ran that server with somebody else for a while. The thing is with hobbies, right? When they start becoming a job, that's when I start losing interest. So that's what I don't want to do with flight simulation, right? I don't want it to become a job, because I've noticed in the past with other stuff that I've done on the channel, as far as game when we're talking gaming or simulating, right? I'm more into simulation type stuff, right? You'll see my channel. I have hunting, I have racing, I have driving, I have 5M simulating, police work and that type of stuff. But like I said, 5M was a thing that I stopped doing because it became a job.
Mm-hmm.
Running a server, interviewing people, training people, supervising people. I'm like, "God, I'm running a kindergarten center over here. I can't be doing this crap anymore." So when it became a job to me, and the other aspect of the vile community revolving around 5M, it's insane. Um, like it's one of those, we love you, and then you turn around and you get stabbed in the back about 25 times. The 5M community is horrible. So that and the fact that it became a job made me lose interest for that particular
Mm-hmm.
hobby. Flight sim has always been in the background for me, even when I was huge on the 5M thing. Like I said, I took a pause from flight sim when FSX kind of fell off the scope, and until 2020 came back, and that's when I kind of picked it up again and went heavy on it. But so yeah, I do. I used to stream and upload content on a lot of stuff, right? But now I kind of centered on the flight sim because I just love the aspect of flight simulation. Obviously, aviation being uh, a major part of my life, my real life, right? Not my gaming life. So it just holds a huge spot in my heart, right? Aviation. So the fact that I can do that as a hobby and stream it and try to build, a community such as mine, where I always say it on my Discord as well. I prefer quality over quantity any day of the week, right? So um, I'd rather have 10 good people watching me than 200 kids telling me to do a barrel roll on a 787, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
It's not what I'm about, right?
Right.
So there's a space for that, right? It's not in my Discord. So I'm sorry for those kids that love to do that stuff. That's just not what I'm about. I mean, we're starting to grow uh, immensely in the community itself. We got two real pilots in my community. We have tech support. We got people that will help you build a computer if you're in the computer, man. It's insane, right? So we got people that are amazing in the community, and that's what I'm all about when it comes with helping people out. Whether it be, hey, my PC is not working, something is wrong, there's somebody that's willing to step in and help you out, right? And not just somebody that thinks they know. I'm talking about people that know what they're doing, right? Especially when it comes. We just had a CFI join us not too long ago, a couple of days ago. Um, he's a real world CRJ pilot. That's freaking amazing. We have a Embraer 145 pilot in my Discord. Good friend of mine, which I think I already mentioned, and he's also the resident geek in the Discord. He'll troubleshoot, fix, repair, tell you what to do as far as PC is concerned. He's the one that helped me build both my PCs, my streaming PC and my gaming PC. So yeah, I mean that's what I'm all about, man. When I switched gear from 5M and all the other stuff I used to do on my channel to pass time and streaming with other people and trying to have that type of community sense, right? It was a little different. Now I'm about bettering the community, bringing out the little bit of knowledge that I have, bringing it out there and sharing it with other people, and most of all, build a knowledgeable community on the Discord, because we do a lot off stream, right? We're always hanging out in my Discord. We have numerous channels that a lot of people cannot see because we have some private channels for some people and select a few people that always hang out. We have a membership channel, and we're always constantly hanging out, flying offline. We do some car racing. I mean, we have lots of fun. We'll pick on each other all day long, and it's all for good fun, right? So um, that's what I'm about, right? Outside of the gaming aspect, obviously, wife, kids, I do ride a motorcycle. I have a Road Glide. I don't know what you ride, Cap, but I have a Road Glide, 2017 Road Glide. I've had motorcycles my whole life. Coming from growing up in Italy, that's the first thing I was riding around when I was 13 years old was a Vespa. I don't know if you guys know what a Vespa is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But but yeah, that was my first motor travel was a Vespa, right? Until I got my license. But yeah, that's what I do. I'm huge on RC planes as well. I have very expensive RC planes in my attic that has been sitting collecting dust up there for about, I would say, 4 to 5 years.
Wow.
I have a jet aircraft that's powered by a Jet Cat 60, which is a real RC turbo jet engine. Um, that cost me probably around the $6,000 mark, and it's been up there sitting collecting dust. I flew it one time, and that's it.
Man, at that price range, I'd be scared to fly it.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Well, that's one of the reasons why I only flew it one time. But the one and only flight I did was the obviously the test flight to make sure everything was working correctly, stall test and all the good stuff, and the gear ended up not working, but that was a fault of my own. But one of the pneumatic lines came off or in flight or something, was not put in correctly. But anyways, yeah, I spent a lot of money on the plane, flew it one time, and it's been since. And then obviously between deployments and being away from home, I haven't been able to really utilize them as much. But I have about 6 or 7 RC airplanes. I build stuff all the time, right? Tillers for flight simulation is not the only thing I do. I put my hands in everything, man. I was about to say something you didn't want to hear, Cap. I was about to drop the S word there.
Yeah, it's a family type show. Yeah,
Cup on a daily basis, man. Whether it's a motorcycle, a lawnmower, or ripping my roof apart for miles, I do everything by myself on my own, dude. Because if I don't know how to do it, guess what? I'm gonna learn it and I'm gonna do it myself.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, I realize, Mike. First of all, thank you for saying smash the thumbs up button. I want you guys to make sure as well. I've been putting them up in chat periodically. Please go and sign in to Mike and CST's channels here if you haven't done it yet, and subscribe if you have not. World of Warships, Mike, is something I might play. I didn't quite answer your question. World of Warships, but no, I'm just dedicated to sim, man. That's all I'm going to do. That's all my computer does. Noah, what about you, buddy? You got some other things going on.
Hey, Noah, before you go real quick, 2 seconds. Looks like ours is about almost ready now that we're about to end the stream.
Oh, right. Just kidding. Well, we got a ways to go, and we can even run over if everybody's amiable. Noah, what about you?
I've got no plans. I'm fine to do whatever.
Yeah.
Me as well. But as far as streaming, I don't stream. I was thinking about it a while ago, but honestly, I like doing my own thing. Yeah, I think trying to maintain a follower base, as well as like producing higher quality videos that I feel comfortable putting out, it would be time consuming, especially with me being in college, having other commitments. It would be hard to do. So I just stay on the doing it for fun for myself type business. I have other hobbies. I mean, I game on other games such as Rust or Valorant, but I am not good at those games. So I do that for fun. I'm not anywhere near professional. There are many people better than me at those games, but I do things for fun, so I don't stream, just doing other things occasionally.
Sure, absolutely. And one of the things too, just because I don't care about it, don't necessarily want to do it. I'm maybe a content provider, Mike, as you so generously suggested earlier. Like I said, I'm just starting out and learning how to do this, and I'm kind of into a bunch of the effects. But some of the nice sweeps and closures and all the crap you guys do just blows me away. And I'm fiddling with some of this free stuff, but having a good time. I don't know that I will ever try to monetize my channel. Probably not, and I will say definitely not, because one, I don't have time. Two, it sounds way too complicated, and I'm just going to let you guys just take care of all that.
Well, I'll tell you, man, when I first got started on YouTube, bro, it's something that I have discussed with my fiance in detail for many years about wanting to potentially start streaming. never did I think in a million years that in 7 months that my channel would be just shy of 1,000 subscribers. You know,
congratulations. Yeah.
It's definitely a euphoric experience, to put it in the most professional term, because you know, we all share the same passion, right? And that's the passion of aviation. I think jet fuel rolls in all of our blood, right?
Yep.
Me personally, every time I stepped on the tarmac at the airport, walking to my airplane for my lesson, smelling the jet fuel from those corporate jets at the terminal next door, man, it gave me goosebumps. It's just something that aviation does something to people, you know? And when it comes down to what my ultimate goal is not to get rich doing this, right? Because I don't think that's a realistic goal, right? But my goal is to, because I wasn't able to fulfill my dream as of right now, okay, you know, I'm not saying I could never, but as of right now, it's not something that I'm able to fulfill. If I can give someone that is maybe 10, 15 years younger than I am the ability to build their confidence up and give them the tools and give them advice to get them to their end goal of sitting in the right seat of a commercial jet on their first day as a first officer, that will make me even happier.
Absolutely.
To know that 10 years down the road, if I'm still doing this, I've got a subscriber in my chat that I've known for a very long time come and message me saying, hey man, I haven't been around in the streams for a while, but guess what? I'm now a type rated first officer on the A320 with, you know, Spirit or something like that. That would make me tremendously happy, because, you know, even though not everybody can get there at the same point in time, not everybody has the ability to finance flight school, because I think that's the biggest issue with American aviation is the cost. It's not like Europe or Spain or anything like that where they have grants and airlines that will sponsor you to go through that kind of we have it here, but it's nowhere near to the extent that they do on the eastern side of the world. But you know, that's my end goal, is to educate and to help those along the road that are, I mean, great, I'm not a type rated pilot, never claimed to be, never will claim to be one unless I am one. You know, I just share my knowledge based in the simulator of what I've learned from real world pilots, from my flight training experience, et cetera, et cetera. So when it comes down to the aspect of why I'm doing this, it's not for the fame. It's not for my name to be known. It's not for my channel to become 100, 200, 300 plus thousand subscribers. It's not to make money off of this. It's to become friends with those that share the same passion that I do, because IRL, in the real world, it's very, very difficult to come across those people, to sit there and be looking at an airplane just going like this, watching it, and to have someone look at you be like, you like that stuff too, right? And it's like, it's hard to come by in the real world. So when I meet people like Jack and CST and now Noah and Owls and Lotto and Yoham and even the developers like Vertical Sim and Axonos and the VATSIM Caribbean division, and to meet people like that, to have that same mentality and passion for the same industry that I love so much, and be able to sit here and talk for hours about it. Because my friends, my IRL friends, love them to death. I've known them 15 plus years, but they could give a rat's you know what about
yep,
a 737 or an A320 and the difference between the two, right? So that's just to answer that, and to quickly answer the question of what I would be streaming if I wasn't streaming flight simulation. It would most likely be motorsport, track racing, circuit racing.
Sure. Yeah. Noah, let's see. I had a specific question for you here, but guys, I'm going to coin a term here. Let's get some big old W's in there for Mike and CST subscription number, because that's
massive W's.
Yeah, massive W's, because that's some real work. Okay, guys, you ready for a good little controversial one here that I know you wanted to bring up, and I think we've all kind of been anticipating this a little bit. Once again, we will try to answer your questions, guys. We do have a few things here that we do want to cover. I think Al's might try to sneak in here in just a little bit, and we'll certainly welcome any time that he can give us. But let's talk about naysayers bad attitudes, and software developers and quality of some of the software being offered in today's market. Noah, I'm going to start with you. So,
Okay.
what say you?
All right. I guess I'm going to touch on the developer side of this. Ultimately, it depends on what you're looking for. If I were to name, I think we can all agree CapnJackFltSim for the Flight Sim 2020, it would be definitely a subpar developer. There's pretty large consensus around that. They provide aircraft with external models and an internal, I guess, flight deck that is less than study level. To be very, very nice about this. And for flight simulators like us, like people who use the flight sim for realism, those are not developers that I would like to support because they provide aircraft that aren't at the level that we would like. Now,
Hey,
there
Noah,
are
Noah, let me interrupt you for just a
yeah,
minute. Real briefly describe what you're saying by study level for somebody
yeah,
who may not know what that is, and just, the regular aircraft that may come with the default sim. Go ahead.
yeah. So study level aircraft are aircraft that have systems and that work exactly like the real aircraft and that look like the real aircraft, act like the real aircraft, and fly like the real aircraft. Um, so whether that is having an in-depth MCDU or FMC along with every other part of the aircraft, every single button that should be there on the real aircraft will be there on the flight sim, and every button will work and operate how you would expect it to.
Right.
CapnJackFltSim does not live up to those standards, and it's honestly, in my opinion, a cash grab when they make a plane that isn't up to those standards and then ask that much money for it. Now, I would say there are some people who could benefit from the CapnJackFltSim aircraft. Like if you are a YouTuber who go through air crash investigations and simulate it, you don't need the in-depth study level aircraft. You just need that external model. CapnJackFltSim, I do have to say, the external model of CapnJackFltSim's aircraft is pretty good. No, it's not exact, but it's pretty decent. So if you're making a video on a air crash investigation and you just need like B-roll footage of the plane cruising by, sure, you can get the CapnJackFltSim aircraft for that purpose. But for us simmers who want realism, it's not going to be up to standards.
Yeah,
Now,
and
then
if I may just jump in real quick for those that do not understand the term study level, guys, to give you guys just a quick example, whether it's between X-Plane or Flight Sim. So, and I'll let Noah continue once.
Yeah, you're good.
X-Plane 11 and 12, put TOLUS into the category of study level airplanes. The TOLUS 319, 320, 321, 340, so on and so forth. And for Microsoft, I think we can all agree at its current state, the Phoenix A320 is the most high fidelity study level aircraft in any simulator available right now. So that is when it comes to the term of usability, fidelity, and how well the aircraft operates based on the real world operating procedures and systems and technicalities and technological advancements of the airplane. The Phoenix is 100% the most study level airplane I have ever flown in a simulator. Mm-hmm. So just to put it in terms, those are the airplanes that we're kind of talking about when we use the term study level.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then I'd say another aircraft, like the Latin VFR A319, A321 Neo, stuff like that, that is better than CapnJackFltSim. It's not study level, but I think there's an issue there that on its own, the base package of the Latin VFR, whether you're getting 319 CO Neo or the 321 CO or Neo, it comes not very good. It's not a study level aircraft, but there's third party add-ons that link it with the fly-by-wire A320 cockpit to where that it takes the functionality of the fly-by-wire aircraft, which is pretty good, if not study level, and implements it into this developer who came out with another subpar aircraft, again better than CapnJackFltSim, but subpar nonetheless. So I think that's where it gets iffy. Do you want to support a developer where if you buy this aircraft, you can add on a third party, get a third party add-on to it, make it good, but you're still supporting a developer that came out with a subpar aircraft? Or are you saying, no, not at all, I don't care about a third party and I'm not going to support that? So I think that that's another issue to arise.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, I want to interject in here real quick, Noah, then I'll come back to you because I know everybody has a lot to say on this. Anonymous Flight Simmer says, can we change the term from study level to high fidelity?
Yeah.
Study level is level D sim. Otherwise, airlines would buy a PC with MSFS and get a PMDG. The distinction is important.
yeah, I agree with that.
Well, I was gonna say that once it was my turn, and it looks like FlightSim stole my thunder, and I was gonna I was gonna say how much you're gonna hate me for this. Not hate, probably a strong word, but partially disagreeing with both of you guys because I don't think we have a single study level aircraft on X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Simulator.
That's true.
Not even like the
aircraft.
Not even like the PMDG stuff. Yeah.
No, because a study level sim is a sim that a pilot can go and do currency on and learn how to fly planes. If you fly a plane on Microsoft Flight Simulator on X-Plane and then go to flight school and be like, hey, I already have 1,000 hours logged on flight sim, I'm good to go. They'll be like, yeah, pack send and get the hell out of here. Right? That's not a study level. That's not a study level sim. So it's got to be certified level D for it to be study level. So that's not what we have in the Flight Simulator.
I have never looked at it that way, if I'm being honest with you. And now that thought is kind of in my head, that does make sense because you can't just, and I use the term study level based off of the capability of what we have available at home, right?
Yep.
I think every flight simmer in the world would be happy as a pig in mud to have a full motion A320 cockpit in one of their rooms in their house, right? To be able to go and actually do real world procedures and all that kind of stuff. I think what Anand said with taking it from study level to high fidelity does make sense. I think the term study level is widely used and it's a bit saturated now in the flight simulation market because that's the term that's been being used for such a long time. And I think there's a distinction, like Anand said, between the two. Obviously, we have to understand what we're talking about here. We're talking about just an everyday at home on our gaming PC flight simulator. Now, obviously jumping into a high level D simulation, full motion cockpit to be able to go through emergency procedures, be able to have the feeling of the aircraft banking up, down, left, and right, this, that, the third, getting the G-forces that you would be feeling in an emergency, having the stick actually shake on you during a stall and all that kind of stuff. That is 100% study level. When it comes down to the PC level of flight simulation, like I said, I think study level, the term has been saturated into our minds as the term to use for those that are high fidelity aircraft, which is why I use both term when I speak on it. When it comes to high fidelity airplanes, and the reason study level, quote unquote, is used is because when you can take the Phoenix A320, right, and have a real world Airbus pilot such as V1 simulations, for an example, right, who was a real world Airbus captain, to then do a stream and do a check ride style stream about going through emergency failures, like the check ride that he has to go through to keep his license current, to be able to show how an engine failure would be ran, how to do a dual engine landing or a dual engine failure landing, how to do an emergency rejected takeoff prior to V1 speed, this, that, the third. I think that's where the distinction between the two has to kind of make sense. It's like, yes, this could be considered study level, but is it up to the commercial airline standard of study level? And that's kind of where I distinct the two of this is a high fidelity aircraft that can be used to an extent to study that of which you're training on, if that makes sense. I don't know if I worded that correctly, but that's kind of where I agree with Anand and CST about the term study level, because it's not necessarily a full motion simulator, right? It's not necessarily something you can just jump into and the airlines will be like, okay, he actually got really, really good sim training on this aircraft.
Well, a study level D sim, it doesn't have to be full motion, just so you understand this.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely agree. I'm just using the term full motion.
It could be in an office, and it could be 4 screens designated as a level D sim for you to practice your switchology, right? To kind of understand, okay, that's the PFD, that's the switch, that's a level D type sim where you can get qualified on or checked or whatever they call it nowadays. But there's different level of sim, right? You got your full motion, you got your 4 monitors with a desk chair, right? That's
Sure.
what airlines use as well. It depends on what the aircraft you're training on and all that other good nonsense. But yeah, I take that. I'd be careful with that all the time, right? Because high fidelity is what it's at. No, none of these
Yeah, makes
guys,
sense.
Tallest,
Yeah.
PMDG, Phoenix, none of them claim to be study level. Just so we all know, they say
Yeah.
high fidelity, and they say high fidelity for a reason, because they don't want people to think that that's a study level aircraft when it's not, right? So,
Right.
yes, people, the what I like to call YouTube pilots, like to say all the time, yeah, this is great, this is cool. It replicates the real world very closely, and all that good stuff, which is great. I really appreciate that type of feedback, um, compared to the real aircraft. But at the same time, those people will tell you that flying a plane in a Microsoft Flight Simulator or an X-plane doesn't even come remotely close to flying the real plane.
No, that makes sense.
And for
Definitely.
those of you like Mike, myself, that have done your discovery flights and all that other nonsense, we know exactly what they're talking about, right?
Mhm.
It's a totally different environment when you're flying around in the real world and in a flight simulator. You get none of those feelings. I mean, it's the only thing you're seeing is a screen. If you have a full motion sim, you might get some of those senses, but it's still not doesn't even come close.
No,
I've
yeah,
done the level
absolutely.
D. I've been in a level D numerous times. I've flown a 707 on a level D full motion, multi-million-dollar simulator, right? And and even the pilots had told me numerous times it is harder to fly this simulator than it is to fly in the real plane. When it comes to the motion simulator that they use for training, right? He says, I've had pilots telling me I have a hard time landing a sim, but I get into the real 707 and I land the thing like it's a Cessna, right? So it all depends, right? And other pilots might have different opinions, right? The sim is easy and the plane is hard. So it's all
Sure.
personal experience first of all, and at the same time, again, you need to understand. I don't care how much money you spend on a full motion, level D, level Z, whatever letter you want to put next to it. It's never gonna be like flying the real plane. I don't care
Right.
what you say or who you are. You could be an astronaut telling me that it feels exactly the same. I'll be like, yeah, whatever, pack sand, dude. No,
Yeah.
you're never gonna have that.
Well,
So
to be
that's my
honest
two
with
cents on
you,
that.
and to be honest with you, when it comes down to the understanding of the distinction between the two, is at the end of the day, everybody who is in chat or who is a part of these conversations or who live streams and shares the passion of this hobby of flight simulation has to understand that this is literally just a flight simulator. It is not anywhere near to the understanding of what real world procedure entails, because when I got into flight school, it opened up a whole new book of education in the aviation industry versus just setting power and pulling back on the stick.
Yeah.
And I saw something that Anon just put in the chat that said, would a fidelity scale of 1 to 5 be helpful for products? Not sure who sets the scale, but I think it would be very useful for newcomers so they aren't spending good money on low fidelity add-ons. And that's where I'm going to kind of piggyback into the question that was asked about what is our opinion on these developers who are asking for money for low quality products. I kind of have a 2-part answer to this question. The quote unquote professional flight simmer in me wants to say, and I use the word professional lightly because, like I said, I am nowhere near a professional pilot in the real world. Pause. We got OwlZzFS in the house, y'all.
Oh,
Yeah, we got OwlZzFS in the house.
hey,
Oh,
there you
God.
are, mate. You made it.
My bad. I was freaking rushing, bro. So I'm sorry. I thought it was gonna take like 50 minutes. This thing took like 2 hours. My bad.
you're good,
Where
man.
is it? A desk from IKEA?
No, it's like a whole. Let me show you. It's like a whole ginormous desk now.
Oh, look at
Oh,
that.
Still sitting at
wow.
my-
Oh, that's pretty
Good thing
similar
it
to
was
mine.
Russian.
Yeah, I think it is yours. I'll show you. Anyways,
Good thing it was
How's it
Russian. It
going?
only took an hour and a half. If you were in Russian, it'd be like 3 hours later, right?
Well,
I
ladies
tell you,
and gentlemen in chat and from Captain Jack, welcome OwlZzFS to the panel.
Yeah, yay. Good to see you.
yeah, I'm sorry.
No
Get out of here.
worries. You know what, guys? If you don't mind, that's kind of a good breaking point for those who don't know Owls. And I got to tell you once again, I am a super fan of all three of you. Who do this flight sim and live streaming on YouTube, and you do such great jobs, and you look so relaxed, and it seems like you never forget a button push or a checklist item, and just go through everything. Yeah, I know me.
Yeah,
Either that, either I didn't.
we have our moments.
Yeah,
we have our moments.
yeah. So, Al's, tell everybody, since you're here, a little bit about yourself. Why do you do this? How you got started, and do it in 20 seconds. Or no, I'm kidding.
I got you.
Yeah, no. Go ahead. Go ahead and give us a lowdown on the hoedown, man.
You get 1 second for every minute you were late.
All right, man. All right. So essentially, this all started about when I was like, I want to say like 4 or 5. I used to get like these little model toy planes, like play around with them. I found on my old, if you guys know what a PS Vita is, my dad gave me one of those, and I used to record like my little model airport with it. So I found videos of that. So I had like this whole little model airport.
Oh, you so got to show those on your stream sometime, dude.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I gotta find the videos. I think I screen record. I could send it. But yeah, I used to play with those, and then I kind of stopped for a few years. I kind of just forgot about planes, and then Fortnite got introduced, so I started playing Fortnite. I was in middle school, so I'm not really worried about toy airplanes. I'm just playing with friends on Fortnite, doing stuff like that. And then we went to a trip to Denver, and we got on an airplane, and I was like, oh yeah, airplanes. I used to like these. That was fun. We went back home, and I forgot about it again. And then eventually, I get Instagram. I'm in high school. I get Instagram. So I start messing around with that. I look at stuff, find my friends dancing, doing all the good stuff. Yeah.
Hey, Pop.
and then I saw an airplane reel, and I was like, oh, I used to like these. And this is around the time I had a PC. So I then got the flight sim, and I start messing around with that. I didn't know anything because, I'm coming from getting toy airplanes and messing around with it. But then I actually started getting into learning it. So I learned, oh, this is an APU. This is an air bleed system, blah, 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 blah. And that led me to get on VATSIM. I'm like, all right, let's try out something different. VATSIM, that went crazy for the first time because I'm just now learning stuff, so me getting into it I was a little confused, but then eventually I got into learning how VATS works and learning how air traffic control works. Then I start getting more deeper into the planes, and eventually I get a new PC just for flight. So I'm like, hey, I really like this, I need a better PC because I used to crash all the time. My game would crash. So I got my new gaming PC that I use now, and I got Microsoft. I started learning the planes even deeper, and now I stream it. And that's where we are today.
All right, man. Well, I'm glad you were able to make it, and I can go for about another hour if you guys want to hang around, and we'll just keep discussing. We were talking about quality of aircraft, study level, down to some of the poorer aircraft that that you can purchase, the software, I should say. What are some of your thoughts on that? And I'll just tell everybody here just real quick too. I bought the Bredock 737 Max because I thought, well, I want a Max. I didn't want to pay the $70 for the PMDG 800, and they don't have a Max yet. And I know what you guys are going to say, and you are absolutely right. What a piece of crap.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you're gonna make this, don't make it to where it's just barely to the point, even if that of being functional. You couldn't even clear out mistakes hitting the clear button in the FMC. I mean, it's just oh, very good, very good. I got to get me one of them. Yeah, some of your thoughts, Al's, on that, and then I want to make sure that Mike and Melo got to say everything on that they wanted to as well, because it's a big subject. Al's, what do you say?
Well, I think we could all agree we get bored of flying the PMDG in Phoenix every day. Take CSTs for example. It's the only two planes I think that everybody knows you could take off with it, you could land with it, and fly it on VATSIM and all that stuff, and not have to worry about, oh, is this gonna bug? Is this gonna crash? All this stuff. I do think though that stuff like the FSS E190 and the CRJ, those are around the same, almost close to getting to the level of PMDG in Phoenix. But then after you pass those and you start flying like the Bredock or the the virtual call E190s.
Oh God, that was so bad. Yeah.
Yeah, just stuff like that. That's where it turns into just flying garbage. I don't want to diss the developers because most of those type of developers, they do say, hey, this isn't meant for people like CapnSim. That's what I heard y'all talking about earlier. CapnSim specifically is meant for Xbox users. It's not a high fidelity aircraft. It's just meant to be flown and hanged out, like I think Noah said, like cinematic videos for it. It's not meant to be flown for real. But when like the Bredock A380, when you bring something out for how much is like $27, something like crazy like that. When you bring a plane out for that price and it literally is unflyable, that's where I have the problem. When you're charging multi-dollar, like not multi, but you know, $20, $30 for planes that you just look at and see a terrible model first off, and also see a plane that doesn't even fly good. That's where I have the problem. I don't have problems like the CRJs or anything because that's flyable. Virtual call, that's around Bredock, and then you know CapnSim. I think, okay. If I had to, sorry, I'm going all over the place. If I had to like lay it out, I would say Phoenix is number one. You got PMDG in number two. Then you drop to the CRJ, and then you go FSS. Then to me, the Latin VFRs are under those just because they're not really bad planes, but you do need a mod like the Horizon Sim to make it good. So you're kind of paying for, I always say you're paying for a fly-by-wire. You get the plane, but you then have to get a mod to make the plane good. And the mod to get the plane good is based off of freeware aircraft that anybody could get. So it's kind of like you're paying for a fly-by-wire freeware. So that's why I would rate those under. And then you got Bredock and all that, that's not okay. That's crazy.
Could I just say one thing? You mentioned something that I did want to touch on, and there was a question in chat about that, about the Flight Sim Studios. You said Phoenix PMDG, then the Aerosoft CRJ, then the Flight Sim Studios. I think a really good point to make as far as the Flight Sim Studios, since it's still in beta, it's or pre-release. When you are paying for the Flight Sim Studios, you're paying for its development because they make it very clear, hey, we are not ready to fully release it. We believe that it is flyable. You can put it into your sim. You can do flights with this, but there is things that we still need to work on. So by purchasing this, you're purchasing it at a discounted rate when we do release it, and then you're allowing us to progress on the development of this aircraft. So it will not be a high fidelity aircraft. It's getting higher and higher every 2 weeks as it comes out, but it's not at the level of PMDG or Phoenix, but a lot of people have purchased the Flight Sim Studios 175, 190 in the earlier versions and said, oh, this is not great. I'm disappointed. I spent money on it. But, you know, you should have been more attentive to what the developer was saying, how this is pre-release. We will be ready when we release it in full.
Yeah, and I'll jump in here because I think there's a bit of a backstory to Flight Sim Studios and the E-Jets, and I'm not going to comment too much on it because I have yet to fly the airplane, right? For those of you that don't know, the Flight Sim Studio E-Jets never used to be the Flight Sim Studio E-Jets, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is a model that was purchased from another developer who is developing this airplane for X-Plane. And when it comes down to the topic of the FSS E-Jets, there has to be a general understanding of what you're investing in, right? And like Noah just pointed out to, you are investing into the development of this airplane. However, at the exact same time, there's a level of patience that people have when they invest into this product that they are now starting to lose because of how long it is taking them to get the airplane into the state that it's currently in. Now, at the same time, I am not talking negatively on the FSS E-Jets. I can't form an accurate opinion on the airplane because I have not flown it. I've seen it flown by CST. I've seen it flown by Owls. I've seen it flown by V1 Simulations, Captain Canada. They've all flown it. Where the frustration lays with the flight simulation community, and I'm going to speak openly about it, is the fact everybody is so upset with the fact that the airplane yet has a VNAV profile. At the same time, you do have them developing the aircraft constantly. They're pushing out updates for the airplane, fixing this bug, fixing this bug, fixing this bug. And where I'm going to jump in for the community, for those that have spent money on the airplane, that have invested into this project, to say, guys, we can work out a texture bug with the cockpit seats later. There are things that need to go into this airplane now in order for it to be a high fidelity airplane. Because I'm telling you, as soon as that FSSE jet receives a VNAV profile, my money's going to them, because I want to fly it. I'm just not investing into the project now because I think their focus is somewhere it needs not to be, right? And it's like, and I'll put it into simpler terms. For example, I love X-Plane. You know, I was an X-Plane flyer for years, simply because their flight model supersedes that of Microsoft 100%. There's no question about it. I will argue it till I'm blue in the face. X-Plane has a better flight model. And if I wanted to, that's where my whole thing of, do I invest into Microsoft or do I invest into X-Plane 11? When I first got my computer built the way it is now, I had to make a choice between the two simulators, and I chose X-Plane 11 simply for the ground handling and the flight physics in the air. I still, to this day, could probably land a plane better in X-Plane than I can in Microsoft, because the flight dynamics are that much better. But at the same time, you have X-Plane 12 released, right? And I was so excited for X-Plane 12. So excited for it. Because I was like, they have had to have made huge inroads on this simulator. Bro, we should have realistic satellite imagery instead of auto-generated mesh around the world. We should have other things coming to the simulator. But no, they focused their entire development on 3D trees and volumetric clouds.
Jeez.
And a little bit better of a weather system. But at the same time, their weather system is not the best. We have witnessed that firsthand. We had a group flight that we were doing. I think we were doing a long haul on one of my long haul Fridays that I used to do last month. Which, full disclosure, guys, I've taken a break from the long hauls because they were taking a toll on me. I'm not going to lie. But we were doing a long haul, and we had 5 users on Microsoft, and we had 1 user on X-Plane flying the A350. That user on X-Plane had 130 knot faster tailwind than we did and overtook literally everybody. And we were flying the same weather, right? So did they really make inroads on that? And that's where I kind of put my argument with the FSSE jets. It's like their development is focused in the wrong areas. And that's why I haven't invested into the project yet, because it should not take this long for them to get a VNAV profile into the airplane when you have the fly-by-wire, which is a free add-on product, who had that from day one, you know? So, or not day one, but it came relatively soon after they started developing on the default 320. So when it comes down to where my support goes with the FSC, I think it's a fantastic project. The airplane looks phenomenal. Like, the external model is fantastic. The sounds are amazing. The cockpit looks fantastic. You know, all that looks great, but there's still a fundamental missing item that comes 100%. It is 100% almost a necessity if you're going to fly it on the network in a busy airspace, right? Because let's say you decide to fly the E-Jet in a New York and Boston FNO, which we all know how busy the East Coast sector of ATSIM gets during an FNO, right? You have Boston, New York, Washington, down to Atlanta to Jacksonville, just lit up like a Christmas tree with hundreds of airplanes flying. And you take that one guy that's flying the FSC jet saying, hey, New York Center, I don't have a VNAV profile, so if we get a vector to descent into the airport, I'd greatly appreciate it. So you now have taken this guy's responsibility and workload from handling this many airplanes in his airspace up a notch, because he now has to focus on descending you down on a good path, so that way you can get to your airport at a good altitude, so that way you're not having to fly a vectored arrival because you're too high or you're too low, or you're going to miss your localizer because you're still too high, or you're way too high above the glide slope and you have to go mist or fly a go around, whatever it may be. That's necessary. And for me personally, shouldn't be taking this long to get a VNAV profile into an airplane. It shouldn't.
Yeah.
Or a direct 2.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Direct too. That is a little crazy.
Yeah, for sure. You know, Melo, I wanted to ask you. Anand said, so are these subpar aircraft useless, do you think? What do you think about that?
I love the smile on CST's face because I'm so excited for his answer, man.
Yeah, me too.
Just start crying.
Something's cooking up there.
You got it, buddy. And Noah, you're next, and then Al. So.
Okay.
It depends. It depends on who you are. They're useless to me. They might not be useless to somebody like. Well, never mind. I promise I was going to say no names, but they might not be useless to somebody that just loves to play a game, right? I mean, that's what it boils down to. If you play the game and you don't care about systems or fidelity or realism, then you are the type of person that says, "I love the Captain Sim 777," and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Um, and if you're the type of person that likes to play games and you don't care about realism, um, you're the type of person that says the Fly Sim Studio E-Jets are great. They're fantastic, right? The only thing that's fantastic about the Fly Sim Studio E-Jets is the only thing that Fly Sim Studio has not touched, and that's the airplane. Everything that Fly Sim Studio have touched on that plane is a complete disaster. Like it doesn't work, right? The FMC is not custom. Unexistent VNAV, which an Embraer 190 or 170 without VNAV is not an Embraer 190 or 170, right? So,
Yeah.
is it a plane? Yes. Does it fly? Yes. Is it an Embraer? No. It's missing the basic functions of an Embraer 170, 190. Does it look great? Yes. Does it fly decent? Yes, absolutely. That's all things that were developed by another developer, right? You bought the model Fly Sim Studio. The only thing you had to do was put the systems in, and you haven't done that yet. It's been 15 months. Where is my Embraer? Right? I bought into this project. You initially said this was going to be the first high fidelity Embraer in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and you got everybody all excited. A week before releasing the aircraft, you came out with a stream and you showed out how unfinished the aircraft was and should not be considered high level fidelity, whatever you want to call it. But you were still going to go forward with the release of the aircraft. Caught a lot of grief from the flight sim community, and you decided to say, okay, well, we'll call it early release, and we'll charge you this much money instead of this much money, right? And then we'll work on everything else. Help us develop this plane. I bought into that 100%. I said, you know what? I love this plane. I see what they're trying to do. Let me buy into this. Let me help them out. And then 15 months later, or a little less maybe, not only you don't finish the 170 and 175, but you release the 190 and 195 and ask the same people that are trying to help you for more money or another unfinished aeration of the aircraft. Do I have stupid written on my forehead? I mean, what are we doing here, right? It's like what? Like you are releasing more crap and you want more money to help you develop the aircraft that you haven't finished in the past 15 months. And the only thing you had to do was apply the systems to it because the aircraft you bought from Xcraft. The aircraft, everything that looks good about the aircraft is all the stuff that Fly Sim Studio has not done to the aircraft. That's my point.
Yeah.
Right? Fixing the little texture here, taking care of the sound bug, and doing all this other little piddly stuff on the aircraft that means nothing to anybody is not an update. It's just a delay. That's all that is.
They're doing what they're supposed to be doing in the background.
In my opinion, we don't have a custom FMC and legitimate systems on the aircraft because Flight Sim Studio does not know where to begin how to apply those systems to the aircraft. And they might not want to pay for the people that know how to do this type of stuff. Otherwise, it'd be done already, right? The X-Craft aircraft, the E-Jets work great on X-Plane, right? So somebody knows how to put good systems on the aircraft, right? And it's not Flight Sim Studio, obviously. Otherwise, we'd have those systems by now. But yeah, I mean, like I said, going back to what Annan says, there's a place for subpar add-ons, and that's to the gamers. Like I said before,
Yeah.
if you're just gaming, then you can fly whatever the hell you want. You can fly a paper airplane. Who cares, right? Hey, look, I got a paper airplane on the Flight Sim, and it flies great. That's great. But if you are looking to fly sim, then obviously your Captain Sim and your Fly Sim Studio and your Latin VFR and your BreeDoc and all that other good nonsense that is absolute garbage. Flight Sim Studio, let's pretend for a minute that they're trying to do something good here, and let's not put them on the list, right? Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. But we already know the type of complete product that LVFR and Captain Scam and Bredock are delivering, and we can all agree that it's complete garbage, right?
Yeah.
So those people are around because there's people that buy that stuff, and it's not us, right? So who is it? The people that I call gamers, the people that play the game, that don't flight sim, they just play the game. They're like, oh, 777, $30. Mommy, give me $30.
Yeah,
and that's how you get your plane, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
That's my opinion. But yes, there's a place for those mods. Like I said, there's a place for those add-ons. People are gonna buy them. Kids are gonna buy them, right? People that just like the aircraft for their looks are gonna buy it. Hell, I've seen YouTubers that have upwards of 20,000 subscribers, and they never fly a plane from inside the cockpit. They do the chase view the whole time, and they're flying around, and they're like, "I'm the best YouTuber ever. I'm a flight simmer," and I'm like, "Oh God, please kill me now," right? It's like, what is this, right? But again, he's got 30,000 subscribers, so there's obviously a market for that type of content, right? It's just not for me. I'm not gonna watch that. I'm not gonna support it. I don't like it. And at the same time, I will repeat what I said before. I'm not saying that's a bad person, right? It could be the best person ever. It could be a fantastic human being, but his content sucks. I'm not gonna watch it, right? So there's a market for things, whether you like them or not, right? Only because it's not good for you doesn't mean it's not good for Owls. Only because it's not good for Owls doesn't mean it's not good for Captain Jack.
And I apologize.
But I think if we're in the room here, we call each other flight simmers, then we need to understand that the Flight Sim Studio is not a plane for a flight simmer.
Yeah.
Right? Not yet. Hopefully soon, but not yet. But at the same time, does it fly? People ask me, how does it fly? Yeah, I mean, you can fly anything, bro. You have a yoke, pedals, and a throttle. You take it up and go fly, right? It doesn't mean it's a good aircraft.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that we'll get there because, like I said, I love that type of plane. The CRJs, I wouldn't even. Als earlier said, the CRJ, he puts the CRJ and the Flight Sim Studio in the same plane. And that's great. If that's your opinion, that's fantastic. I totally disagree with that because the difference between the CRJ and the Flight Sim Studio is this. The Flight Sim Studio is not only incomplete, but it's buggy at the same time. The CRJ is a complete aircraft. It does everything it's supposed to do, right? Including couple VNAV. But it's a little buggy, right? It needs to be updated because that was the first high fidelity aircraft we got in the sim, right? The CRJ was literally the first plane for a flight simmer that came to us on Flight Simulator, and it hasn't been updated since. So it is in dire need of an update. However, the difference between that and the Flight Sim Studio is on the left side, you get the CRJ, which is a complete product, and it does everything a CRJ is supposed to do, minus little fixes here and there that need to be updated, which they're slacking on. And if we have in chat CFIs, the real CRJ pilot, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. There's numerous things that need to be fixed, but those are bugs. They're not, the CRJ flies like it should. The Flight Sim Studio doesn't have the basic functionality of an Embraer, right? So stop calling it an Embraer. It's a plane. That's it. That's all it is to me. It's a plane.
And if I may just, I'm going to interject just quickly here. It'll be a quick little piggyback onto what CST is saying. Where I disagree with Flight Sim Studios is I believe they marketed the aircraft incorrectly. I think their marketing strategy is 100% what is causing them to have so much flack in the community right now is because they said, hey, we're sending you guys an airplane in beta, mind you. We're asking for you guys to pay for the airplane so we can continue to develop it. As a flight simmer and someone who understands the time it takes to develop something as high fidelity as we want to say the FSS can become, like CST said, and I mentioned it when I made my comment, the Flight Sim Studios E-Jet was not the Flight Sim Studio E-Jet to begin with. It was the X-Craft's E-Jet when they were going to release version 2. right? Because those that are X-plane enthusiasts understand that the X-Crafts E-Jets are the only decent E-Jets that X-plane had to offer, even though they still weren't the best. So X-Craft said, hey, we're going to do a version 2. Guess what? We're going to be selling version 2 now to Flight Sim Studios, and they're going to continue to develop for Microsoft so we can focus on our X-plane products because they're an X-plane developer, right? When it comes down to their marketing, I would have much rather saw them say, hey, we have an airplane for you guys. It's in beta. We want you guys to support the development here because we just do not fundamentally have the resources to make it what it deserves to be. Now, if you guys want to invest into this project, head over to FlightSimStudios.com, check out the project, check out what we're talking about in this, that, the third, and we're going to have a donation link down there, and we're going to set a monetary goal that we need to meet in order to make this airplane what it needs to be. And ask the community if they were willing to donate. I would have donated into that. Now, could that become an issue down the road? Yeah, because people will get upset, like, hey, I donated to something, and now they're Xing out the product. Well, that's going to be on the company then. The company's now going to have to refund all the donations that they had because they can't just take that money because they're not delivering the product, right? But when it comes down to what they're doing currently, I believe 100% that they need to market it correctly. They say, hey, we want this to be complete for you guys, but we just don't monetarily have the funding to do it. So we're asking you guys to help us out. I saw something in chat that a non-flight simmer said, have people seen the FSS website? They are actively recruiting for an aircraft systems developer. So if it's current, we aren't getting a completed Embraer anytime soon. That's that. That is where they have failed. They should have done that when they got the airplane.
Yeah.
They should have said, hey, we need to hire a aircraft systems developer for this airplane, someone that knows what they're doing, so that way we can deliver this aircraft in full. And I had made a comment while CST was talking, is that they were just doing what they're supposed to be doing in the background. When he's talking about fixing slight bugs and slight textures here and sound bites and this, that, the third, da-da-da-da-da. That's your job as the developer. You can't deliver a product in an incomplete state with bugs and not expect to have to be responsible in fixing it. We don't give a damn about that. That's not an update to us. An update to us is something that's new to the airplane, right? Something that is fixing the airplane or fixing the flight dynamics or fixing how it handles on the ground and the VNAV and this, that, the third, and la-da-da-da-da, and the custom FMC. Those are the updates we really give a shit about. Excuse my language. So when it comes down to it, their marketing is what has made this project as difficult as it has been, right? And you take, for example, I'm going to throw Phoenix into this mix because Phoenix has caught a lot of flack over the last 12 months because of the delays in their project. I still respect the fact and will still support their projects 100% because they were transparent about the issues they were dealing with, right? They said, hey, we bit the bullet.
How about all that?
Well, let me put it into perspective here.
I'll let you finish.
Yeah, let me put it into perspective here. Did some of their delays come with a lack of transparency over some months? Yes, and people are sitting here like, where y'all been, bro? We've been waiting. They haven't said a word. What's going on? Where the respect comes out to it is how detailed, when they do talk about what's going on in the background, how detailed their explanation is. And that's where my respect for Phoenix comes. It's like, okay, they said the IEEs 319 and 321 were going to come out at the beginning of 2024, around that area, right? However, it took 3 months for us to get the IEEs, and now we're still delayed on the 319, 321. And when you actually read into the category of why it took them so long, is because they actually completely rebuilt a lot of the systems from the ground up when they were released in the IEEs. And now that they have the complete model, now they can focus their development on the 319 and 321, right? Now, am I happy as a customer that it's taken so long and we're constantly getting delayed? No, obviously not. This is a product that we've spent money on. And when you make a promise, you kind of have to deliver on that or around that time, right? And not delay it by 30, 60, 90, 120 days, right? But when it comes to the marketing of their product, the work speaks for itself. It's not like it's taking them 4 to 6 months to complete something, and then they deliver it to us and it's complete garbage, right? Phoenix delivered on these IEs, which is where my trust in their company comes from. It's like, okay, well, yeah, it might have been delayed, but man, look at this, bro. Like, look
Yeah.
how good this airplane sounds. Look how awesome it flies. They completely redid the flare logic in the airplane. They did some system categorizing and rebuilt some of the characteristics. Excuse me, I can't speak today. Characteristics of the airplane. Now, am I sitting here backing them up on the delays? No, because it shouldn't be delayed. If you make a promise, deliver on it. If it's going to get delayed, be transparent as to why it's being delayed. Should they have announced their delay so late? No. I think that's, again, a marketing strategy that it went wrong and why people got so upset. But the product still speaks for itself. FSS E-Jets, it's not a product that can speak for itself, right? You get into the airplane, it's like, as CST said when I asked him, how do you like it so far? Because I knew his opinion on the jet. He said, it's a jet. It's like, fair point.
It's a plane.
It's a plane. It flies. You can go A to B.
Yeah.
But you hop in the Phoenix, it's like, all right, well, they did delay by 3 months, but this is an airplane that I could fly on a daily basis.
And
Right.
and that makes it worthwhile. I mean, yeah, it was delayed, but the product finally got there. And guys, I kind of want to move on here just a little bit too, so we can cover a couple of more things in the next half hour or so. Let's see, Noah, did you have any further thoughts on that? I was going to come. Oh, okay, you're good. Al's?
I'm content.
Yeah. Go ahead, Noah.
No, I said no. I'm good. I'm content.
Al's, do you have any further, comments on that one?
Not really. I don't know.
I do. I want to say one thing before we
buddy.
move on to the next subject. Somebody in chat was saying something about me dissing on House. Disagreeing is not dissing, guys. So let's listen to what people are saying before commenting in chat with something stupid like, "Oh, CST was dissing on House."
Yep.
And I wonder that's not the case, because if I was dissing on Owls, then Owls would have probably told me to shut up, and that didn't happen.
I was about to say,
a disagreement is a simple disagreement. It's not a dissing on anybody. All right.
Yeah.
So that's all I wanted to make sure that everybody knows that. If I need to diss on Owls, I'll do it privately.
Yeah, and on top of that too, we're all friends here, and we're here just, this is a live discussion. I had a little structure and some questions, and we've been trying to get some of your questions in chat and everything. And, we're just friends sitting here having a discussion. I think this is going real well. I hope you guys are really happy with it. So
I'm loving this, man.
Yeah, I think this is something that is very worthwhile and worth doing. One question I wanted to ask you: how did you guys get your instruction? How did you get instruction to learn how to flight sim? And Noah, I'm going to go ahead and come to you, and then Owls, and we'll go that way. So how did you first start learning?
Yeah, I mean, like I said in my introduction all the while ago when it started, is that I started just playing around with Sim, seeing what button does what, and I messed up a lot. But when I really wanted to learn a plane, YouTube is my best friend. There are countless of tutorials out there for a specific plane, for specific simulators, how to diagnose certain problems with your simulator or your plane. If anything goes wrong, YouTube is your friend. Anything, VATSIM, plane, something goes wrong with your simulator, crashes every time you load it up. YouTube. That is the best way to learn. There are communities out there on Discord that help you learn, but honestly, just spending the time sitting down, watching a YouTube video, recreating what they do in the video, doing the same flight that they're doing to showcase,
making notes and stopping set by set. I have this whole notebook is practically on the PMDG 737, full of my handwritten notes. Let me read. I mean, just tons of handwritten notes, typed notes, copied. It's not showing up real good on the camera, but you kind of get the point. Watch those YouTube videos and pause and go on and then get in there and try it. Alice, how about you? How where did you pick up most of your learning on how to fly everything?
Oh yeah, so like Noah said, I started off just pressing buttons. Ooh, this one's, when I hit it, it turns red, and I hit this, and now the engine's spinning. When I really got into learning the aircraft, it was more so like Noah again said, going on YouTube and watching the videos, see what they do. Now, in terms of how I really learned the aircraft, it's not just watching a YouTube video at school or at the park and then coming home and just trying to remember what they did. I would, have it up on my phone or on my another monitor, and I would go through and I'll watch it, then I'll do it. Watch, do, like back and forth, just mimicking what they would do. And then to get into like the realistic aircraft flows and all that, I would go on like just planes, check out the actual videos and reels and stuff, TikToks of actual pilots doing stuff so you could see what they do. And yeah, I mean, that's really how I did it. Most of the realistic flows, though, are from after learning the tutorials, going through and seeing what different airlines do, asking questions, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to show you guys this too. Speaking of the last subject and the aircraft we were talking about, here is the Embraer 170 and 190 bit of checklist I made to try to fly that. To try to.
Oh yeah. See, Owls, TikTok wasn't around when we were learning how to fly these things, man.
Yeah. I mean,
that's old school, like book and binder type stuff, and I'm right there with you too. I mean, like this is something that helped me tremendously when I first got into VATSIM. And people, this is one of the most common things, and I think all of us, myself, Owls, and CST can agree on. One of the most common questions we receive in our chats is, "What should I do to get started on VATSIM?" And when I first got started on VATSIM, and when I first got started into flying on the flight simulator, back in FS 2004, bro, I would load into the default Boeing 777 that was available on that simulator, load into the runway, pick my point from Las Vegas to Dallas Fort Worth, fly direct GPS, and I did that all the time. There was no SID, there was no STAR, there was no arrival procedure. It was just guesstimating when I was going to get to the airport. And sometimes I overflew the airport at 35,000 feet and had no idea. So I just set the vertical speed to 5,000 foot a minute, made a left turn, turned around, and went down to the airport, bro. So, I really started learning SIDs and STARs and accurate procedures and stuff like that. Yeah, gosh, 10 years after I started flight simming, man. For 10 years, I was just hop in the airplane and go have fun.
Yeah.
And then I really started learning actual charts and reading charts and understanding ILSs and understanding VNAVs and this, that. They're not only is YouTube your best friend, but one of the biggest things in aviation that you have to be good with is reading. You have to be able to read procedures. You have to be able to read charts. You have to be able to read a checklist accurately and understand what the checklist is telling you to do, because the checklist is literally there, plain black and white, to tell you exactly what it is to do from startup procedures, cold and dark, down to shutdown. It'll tell you. It's a checklist, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. And it's going to tell you exactly. And I did that religiously. And then I found YouTube. And then I found Captain Canada. And then I started watching live streams of other flight simmers. And I would literally hop on my simulator and fly with them in real time and just follow them step by step by step. And if I missed something, I would roll the stream back. I wouldn't even be on the stream live time. I would just go back 30 seconds, say, okay, what did I miss? I'd rewatch what they did, and then I would replicate it in my simulator. And then eventually it got to the point where I could do it in real time with them and fly with them. Then I got on VATSIM. This was something that helped me tremendously when I got onto VATSIM, because something that people forget to do all the time, and Noah touched on this earlier, is when you're talking to ATC, you're hitting a push to talk button, not a push to think button, right? I love that saying. I love that saying. That is now going to become something on my channel. I'm going to use that, right? When it comes to understanding ATC and this, that, the third, a pen and a piece of paper is your best friend, because there's instructions that you're being told that you have to remember, and you have to read that back, right? So I found this on Amazon for $11. I bought this like 4 years ago, and I started using this. And it says from flight information, departure, takeoff, climb, and cruise phase, descent phase and approach, and any other remarks for comms and all that kind of stuff. So right here in the departure phase, it says I'm at gate Charlie 30, takeoff runways 28 right, and ATC instructions right here in this little box. So I was flying to Minneapolis, so I was cleared to Minneapolis, St. Paul via the O'Hare 6 departure direct to Pumpkin. Climb maintain 5,000. We'll expect 32,000 in 10 minutes. Departure 19.0. Squawk 3153. My entire ATC clearance is right there in black and white. So now I take that, I'm looking at it, and then I press my push to talk button and say, okay, what was this? Spirit Wings 1113. We're cleared to Minneapolis, O'Hare 6 departure, direct to Pumpkin. Climb and maintain 5,000 initially, 320 in 10 minutes. Departure 19.0. Squawk 3153. I'm reading it instead of having to think about it, right? So there are thousands of resources available to those, and you could even get real world stuff. You could get a real world pilot's logbook and use that instead of finding something. And this literally says pilot logbook for simmers. I love this thing. I don't use it anymore because I don't need it, but you know, I will use a pen and paper, watch YouTube, follow along with us when myself, Owls, and CST are flying. Because when I got started, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I was just direct to and hope I descend on time.
Hey,
And
Mike,
then-
I was going to say this is really a good point here, too. Anon says, again, could you show that on your streams as a teaching aid? That might be something that we all should consider, some of the stuff we use. I was going to show you guys this, too. This is my checklist for firing up the PMDG 737, and I've made some notes in it. And what I do with it, too, is I kind of homebrewed a see if I can get the camera over here. I kind of homebrewed a, yeah, there we go, a 737 yoke thing.
Oh yeah.
And so I don't know if I can do this one-handed and hold the camera, but anyway, I'll clip that up under there. I've got a clip on the top of it, and just another maybe helpful tip and trick there. And I'll go ahead and put that on there now that I can use both hands and show it that way. And it doesn't get in the way of turning the yoke or anything. And it really has been very, very handy for me to help remember to do stuff.
Yeah, and I saw something in chat after Anon said to show this on stream. Yeah, I could 100% do that. I could 100% show people what this book was and why I used it and the purpose for it. But I also saw that he said, I'm all for encouraging people, so do we think that advice to stay off of VATSIM is unsupportive? And people might disagree with me on this opinion, but I think it is 100% unsupportive. Because when it comes down to telling people to stay off of the network, how are they going to learn?
Yeah.
That's like telling someone, a student pilot, to stay out of the airplane before he learns how to fly the airplane, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes down to the VATSIM network, there's a saying in the aviation community, it's the first thing you learn as a student pilot is you have to aviate, navigate, and communicate, right? Communication being one of the big keys. One of VATSIM's motto is aviate, educate, and communicate, right? So if you're going to throw the word education into your motto, you have to be willing to educate those that want to learn, right? So I think those that are wanting to get onto VATSIM, yes, still need to have an understanding of their airplane before they get onto the network. But at the same time, there has to be a level of patience for those that are just now starts. My dog has zoomies right now for some reason. There has to be an understanding that there are going to be, because what is VATSIM's minimum age requirement? 13, correct?
13, yeah.
So you have people 13 years old who are just now getting started on this, who in 2.5 years, 3 years time, by the time they're 15 and a half, 16 years old, can get into a Cessna and start learning how to fly, right? So when it comes down to telling people to stay off the network if they don't know what they're doing, I don't support that remark at all. Because how are they supposed to learn if they don't get onto the network? And I tell people in my stream all the time, the only way you're going to learn is just by doing it. When it comes down to how competent they are, that's why I say what I say by the remarks section. Hey, I am a new pilot to this. I am still learning on what it is that I need to do. Please help me learn, right? Now, is it a smart idea to try and do that in the middle of a Boston FNO? No, sir. That controller has zero patience and doesn't have the time to be teaching people. But you could log into Kansas City Center, who doesn't really have a lot of traffic, fly out of St. Louis, Missouri, something like that, and, you know, tell the controller, hey, I'm new to this. I want to learn accurately on how to do this, so I'm going to fly from St. Louis to Kansas City. But I want to do it accurately, right? And you have controllers that will sit there and take their time out of their day to help tremendously when it comes to learning what it is that you need to do. So in short answer, yes, I think it is 100% unsupportive to tell people to stay off of VATSIM if they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I want to add something to that. I think it's not okay, and yeah, it's not just all in all a rude thing to say don't get on VATSIM, because yeah, how are you going to learn if you don't ever use it? But I will say I have noticed, you know, I've been streaming now for over a year, so I've seen my fair share of stuff happen here and there. I will say there's a difference between people that are getting on VATSIM to learn and people that are just trying to fly.
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of people when I stream, they'll say, "Oh, are you on the network, or which server are you on the Microsoft?" I'll be like, "I'm on VATSIM." I have seen people that will just say, "Oh, okay, I'll just make a VATSIM account and get on." There's a difference between, yeah, you could do that, go for it, but there's a difference between making a VATSIM account and flying and trying to keep up with everybody, or just getting on VATSIM to fly with your friend, or just getting on VATSIM for fun. There's not really, you can't just get on VATSIM. Like Yoham said, you could get on to learn, but don't just go throw yourself straight into a VATSIM event and expect everybody to be all nice to you and pretty in rainbows. You know what I mean? It's not going to be as good as just learning in like Kansas City, like Mikey said.
Yeah, and with me, CST and Owl is now being partnered with a VATSIM division, right? When I was marketing that event, when we were flying from Fort Lauderdale to San Juan round trip, I made it very clear to those that were flying with me to make sure that they were proficient and acting professional. Even if you don't know exactly what it is that you're doing, be confident in what you're doing, because at least if you make a mistake, the controller will be a little bit more understanding with you, because there is a level of understanding when it comes to, not everybody might know exactly what a RNAV VOR DME approach might be, right? Mm-hmm. And I say that with commas in between. I know that. So, but at the same time, when it comes down to the technicality of it all, VATSIM is there for educational reasons, and we shouldn't be preventing those from getting on that actually want to learn. Now, those that are just getting on to bullshit their way, excuse my language, through flying and don't want to learn accurate procedures and disregard everything the controller is saying, then yeah, dot wallop them, get them off the network. That's what we have the multiplayer service for. Yeah. But obviously, us being live streamers, we have to deal with people that want to cause us, I wouldn't say harm, because harm is the wrong word, because I don't really care about people trolling. Yes. But for those that just want to sit there and troll behind their desk and, think they're being funny, I mean, and I saw in chat when we have Andrew, who is actually a VATSIM controller. He said, from a controller's perspective, when we see a 180 CID for a new pilot in their remarks, we get excited because we can teach. We don't get mad unless it's an F&O event and just go to an airport like Portland, where there's a ground or tower controller where you can ask questions. And that's basically what I was saying. It's like, you don't want to join into a massive event and expect a controller to have the patience enough to teach you how to fly a standardized instrument departure correctly. Because they might not have the time to do that because they're controlling 40, 50 other airplanes. But when it comes to, just joining in at a very small airport that doesn't see a lot of traffic, like Kansas City or St. Louis, you've got controllers there that are willing to teach. That's the biggest part of being on VATSIM is learning. So...
Yeah, you know what I think we're going to do here too, guys, and I sent this in chat, and Andrew and I are in contact offline. I think we're going to do one of these talks on VATSIM one day. What do you guys think? And have Andrew 100%. And maybe a couple of we can find a couple of their other guys. I know another one that might be interested in participating. I think that would be a real good topic for discussion.
Yeah, we could reach out to the Caribbean division as well, and the person that's been in contact with us about these events and stuff like that. Maybe he'll be willing to join in on this topic and talk
Mike,
about
you're
his
hired.
Experiences.
You're hired.
Yeah.
Oh, very good, guys. Well, we've been going almost 2.5 hours here, and I think probably we should wrap up. I do know that I need to get away, and I first of all want to say thank you to each and every one of you. You guys are amazing. I love what you do. You've been a big inspiration. I almost feel a little silly to some degree, because I'm big fans of every one of you. Owls, Mike, Melo, and Noah. You've been such a good friend here, and looking forward to more. And I think we should do more of these. We can talk about how often that we think we might like to try to get together. I've gotten some good response in the chat. I want everybody watching to please make sure you go to MickityyyMike and CST Gaming and OwlZzFS, and don't forget to put the dot at the end of FS. It took me forever to find out how to get to your site because I missed that dot, Owls.
Somebody took the name. I don't know how they took the at. So.
Oh, man. If I could just make a point real quick, Jack, you've gained 13 subscribers today. 13 subscribers, and
well,
your
thank
live
you,
stream
thank you.
sitting at 32 likes. So,
There you go.
guys, if you have not done so, make sure you subscribe to Captain Jack, because this wouldn't have been possible without Jack inviting us into this and coming up with this idea to have a little podcast style broadcast between those content creators and Jack and Noah and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, we welcome more people. I think next time we'll probably have to put a time limit on our responses, because I know I'm pretty long-winded in this, that, and the third, so we can get some more topics and get some more.
Yeah, I'm already formulating. I'm already formulating a way to where I can give you a signal, like, okay, if I go like that.
Yeah, I would just but make sure you guys smash down
just
that like
talks
button.
too much too, man. You need to be quiet.
I just want to point this out. I wasn't gonna bring it up.
You've been talking this whole stream, bro. You need to be quiet, man.
Yeah, come on.
I'm just gonna put out what I wanted to say this whole time. Making this desk thing threw me off entirely today, bro. I'm sorry for being late, and everybody is hopping on me right now for not streaming. Oh my gosh!
Well,
I'm sorry,
how dare you have real world responsibilities?
Exactly.
How dare
You have a
you?
life.
I have a life. I'm sorry.
I tell you, if anybody has a real
God.
problem with it, the buck stops with me. So you can yell at me. Guys,
Jack, just to let you know, Andrew did ask. I would do it, but I don't have the permissions to post links in your chat. But Andrew was asking if you wouldn't mind dropping the YouTube channels into chat for myself, Owls, and CST.
Yeah, I've been doing that periodically, but let me go ahead and dump them in there right now. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
But just to say to you guys, I really do appreciate you guys for joining in. And listening to our opinions and our differences when it comes to flight simulation and the aspects of the hobby that we all love. I do have to agree with CST on a tremendous amount of what he said. At the end of the day, this is just an adult discussion, and unfortunately, I think in today's day and age, opinions are no longer respected. And I think people are forgetting that opinions can be had. Doesn't mean we agree on the same topic. That's the beautiful thing about having these discussions, is because we can actually see eye to eye and determine whether we agree with a subject or not. CST has changed my mind on a couple of different things today. When it comes to, the difference between study level and high fidelity in those terms and this, that, the third. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. But really do appreciate everybody for hanging out with Captain Jack today. But like I said, guys, please make sure you smash down the like button for him and subscribe to his channel, because again, without him, this wouldn't have been possible. There's a reason why none of us streamed this on our channels as well, because Captain Jack 100% deserves the recognition for this type of stream and broadcast, which I would do this once a week, man, to be honest with you.
Literally, I won't be late to that one, you know what I'm saying?
You sure? You sure?
Yeah.
It was fun, wasn't it? It was fun, wasn't it?
Okay.
Yeah,
do you guys
building a desk, but in reality, he was just on Monkey.
You need to stop, Owls. It was very fun. It was great. Bro, you've been here for 15 minutes, man.
Hey, the 15 minutes is awesome, bro. I don't care.
Hey,
It was nice.
yeah, it all works out. Well, listen, let's do this before we close down. Yeah, I want to talk to you guys about maybe doing this once a week, because I've got a block of time that might work. So we'll talk about that offline. Go ahead and let's talk about real quick before we wrap up. What you got coming up? What you want people to know that you've got going? Melo, let's start with you on that one. What you got coming up, and tell everybody what's happening on.
Well, I've been putting it out on my Discord, but I guess one of the biggest things I got coming up is on next Saturday. During my scheduled stream, I will be giving away a Boeing tiller. So I've made these in the past. These are the Airbus tillers. But I also built a Boeing tiller, which I will be giving away one of.
Yeah, I'm gonna need me one of them.
Oh yeah,
It was rigged. So.
yeah. We'll be fighting over that one. Yeah.
I mean, there's no need for
giving
fighting.
away-
CST just said it was for me, so I mean, you're good.
I'll be giving away one on Saturday the 27th. So if you want your chance to win one, and the first one that's coming out of Casa CST, join the stream. The only thing I ask is to reach a certain amount of goals during the stream. As soon as we reach those likes, I will open up for the entry of the giveaway, and then before we end the stream, we'll draw a winner. So I'm asking for 150 likes. We've done it before. We can do it again. So again, next Saturday, tune in, enter the giveaway, hit the like button most importantly, because not until we hit 150 I will open up the entry, and then after that we'll pick a lucky winner. And my schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturdays. Um, that's the days I stream on. But yeah, I just do it for the fun, and this is a way for me to give back to the community that supports me, with the memberships, donations, and subscriptions, and all that good stuff. I kind of like to do this. Hell, I'll be giving away, I think, 2 to 3 tillers a month. So,
Oh, chances are good then.
that's literally the way I give back. Aside from trying to spread the little bit of knowledge that I have with the flaxing community. So, yeah, that's it.
Well, guys,
and full
yeah.
disclosure, chat. Full disclosure. I apologize, Jack. Full disclosure,
No.
chat. This is a giveaway. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a product that CST is
I
making
stayed
with his
up
hands.
late for this. Can I
Okay.
just have it?
I'm getting there, Alice. I'm getting there. Okay. All right. This is a randomized selection. Okay. Just because you have been a supporter of CST for 2 or 3 years, however long maybe, you've been a member concurrent for 2 years, and you've been giving him donations and money, does not mean you have a higher chance to win than Joe Schmo that's sitting down the street just found out he won a Boeing tiller. Okay.
Absolutely.
So,
Oh, and if I may speak to that, 2 of the 3 or 4 winners of my giveaways is people that I had never even seen on chat before, right? I mean, Zepho, never seen him on chat until the day he won the tiller giveaway, right? And I was like, okay, Zepho, you won. I don't know who you are, but speak up, right? It's one of those things. So it's not like it's not only people that are members or donate or whatever. It's anybody. It could be somebody I don't even see on chat, right? So yeah, absolutely, man. It's come enjoy the stream. We're gonna try to make it a fun flight with a Boeing, probably, because we want to showcase the Boeing tiller, right? Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to get back in the Boeing as much as I don't want to. But yeah, yeah. I mean, fun giveaways, right? And good times. So looking forward to
Anon says hashtag definitely not rigged.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Melo, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure and joy to meet you and get to know you a little bit, and we'll look forward to next time. Mike, I'll go ahead and come to you. What you got coming up? What's on the agenda?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I will be live tonight. We are taking our first look into the Asobo ATR.
Oh yeah, by the
42-600.
way, let me interrupt you a minute. I'm looking for that. How much did you say it was, and where is it?
I bought it on sale for $12 US. Okay, it's on the Microsoft Marketplace, so you actually have to buy it when you load into the simulator from the marketplace.
Okay.
It's not available on any third-party website or anything like that because it is an Asobo direct airplane. And we will be taking a look into that airplane tonight at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I might have to push the stream back just a little bit because I do have something that I have to finish up for American Virtual. For those of you that do not know, I am the Los Angeles International Hub Manager for American Virtual Airlines.
Wow.
So I do have a training video that I have to finish editing and ship out to the Director of Operations tonight. So I might have to push back just a little bit, but we will be flying the ATR tonight. I am falling in love with that airplane every time I start up the engines. It's something that I really do want to continue flying. So we will be live tonight at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Yes, I am on the West Coast. So for those of you on the East Coast, I do apologize. It's going to be a late one for you. So we will be live tonight. And then tomorrow is Sunday. Obviously, Sundays I take off. I do not stream on Sundays because it's a day that I spend time with my wife before I have to go into work. But yeah, man. The channel's on the come up, man. We're still just a little bit under 800 subscribers.
Yeah, let's get that pumped up. Yep.
For those of you that do not know, for those of you,
He got it. He got it.
y'all have to fill me in after that because I'm not entirely sure what's being referenced right now. But for those of you that do not know, at 1,000 subscribers, I am going to be giving away a Thrustmaster TCA Airbus side stick. So
Whoa.
once we hit 1,000 subs, that giveaway will be happening. So make sure you guys, if you have not done so already, make sure you go over to the channel, subscribe, and like, and check out the content and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, we're still on our way. So I really do appreciate you guys.
When you guys have something special like this coming up on streams, send me an email or put it in the Discord somehow, basically just a rundown on it so I can promo it for you on my Wednesday evening stream. Right now, I just stream one night a week, and that's kind of what I do. But if we add this to it, we'll see what else happens. Mike, thank you so much. An honor to have you here, sir, and look forward to a lot more. Owls, what you got coming up there, brother man?
Well, again, sorry for not being live today. Life happened. But we got a lot of juicy stuff coming for the stream. We got a partnership with Orbix, partnership with I think 4 new senior developers as of literally 2 days ago. A lot of giveaways coming, lots of fun streams. It's gonna be awesome. Checking out different airports. We got promo codes coming for different developers for discount codes, giveaways.
Yeah. Big partner with Orbix now.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, we got some fun over here, man. You got to check us out.
All right. Yeah. Well, again, send me all the information of things you got coming up, and I'll put it out on some other channels too, as well as YouTube and Discord. Let's see. Noah, can't thank you enough, man. What a week it's been. Noah designed my logo. He literally has helped me with Discord enough to make this broadcast possible here today. And I tell you, it's amazing with this crap. You've got a virtual TV studio here. I've been in TV stations that would be proud to have this kind of setup. It just blows me away what we can do with these days. And I stream on Wednesday evenings at 6:30, usually for about an hour and a half or two. I like to joke I'm an old man and it's late in the day, and I'll do one or single hops. But Noah and our good friend Scott, who is a former real-world SkyWest pilot, he flew with us the other night. And also, hey, there's Lucy. Lucy's in here, Noah, or Lucy Klein.
That's funny.
Hey, Lucy. Welcome.
That's my girlfriend.
That's awesome. Glad you're here. But anyway, guys, I think we're going to explore doing this a little more often, maybe even as much as once a week. And want to thank, again, all of you for being here this afternoon. All of you in chat, all of you watching, maybe you're watching a replay. Thank you for checking it out, and we'll look forward to seeing you again. So, guys, unless you got anything else, we'll go ahead and call it a day.
Wait, I have one more thing.
Yeah, buddy.
Hit that like button and subscribe to CapnJackFltSim.
Yeah, thank you, man.
FlightSim.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And you know what? Once again, be sure to check out Owls and CST Gaming and MickityyyMike here. And Noah, when you get something going, we'll send them your way too. All right, guys. Beautiful. God bless and good night from the underground bunker in the Denver, Colorado area. We'll see you next time. Good night.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah. And I will say it from the virtual flight deck, everyone.
I was waiting for that.